Welcome to your new wrestling obsession. This is Off the Mat. We got a whole boatload of pro wrestling to talk to you about this week, but I want to start off by saying, what's up, fellas? Hope you guys had a great Memorial Day weekend. What's new? What's good? What's exciting?
I did, but it feels like I haven't been on the show for like a month. You know, I missed last week, but it feels like I haven't been here for a month. Missed you guys. You know,
we'll see.
We missed you last week, Dom.
I think it's going to be an interesting show if the conversation backstage has anything to dictate, because Dom and I have very different opinions on the state of pro wrestling right now.
Yeah, you know what? Like I said, it's a hit and miss. I understand where you're coming from. We're in a down spiral when it comes to wrestling now. We're all-time high in the beginning of the year, and now that the summertime is coming, it seems to like dwindling down. You know, when we were talking about the promos, what the hell is going on with the promos? People forgetting their lines, don't know how to speak. Freaking Jay, 4 letters, 1 word, yeet. He forgets his lines, and I don't understand that. And even Seth Rollins, they messed up on some of the lines. You know, I don't understand where it's going. And now they're talking about Triple H is telling the front row you can't curse, you can't be real, you can't enjoy the show. I don't know what's true and what's not true.
We had that as one of our news stories tonight, but start off by the promo situation. I mean, look, like we were talking before. And Pete called us a bunch of Nancy boys because of our takes on pro wrestling, and negative Nancy's is what he called us. I got a hot one. The state of pro wrestling is in trouble. Where these Raw shows, SmackDown shows, the way they're booked, the shows are boring. They're boring. They're not bad shows. They're just boring, except for Saturday Night Main Event. I'll tell you right now, I thought Saturday Night Main Event was hot trash. That event was hot garbage.
I'm going to tell you this.
Watching my dog walk across the floor and take a dump in my living room would have been more entertaining than what we got on Saturday night.
Again, the belts don't change. The Vega and Chelsea Green fight, that was pretty good. She busted her nose open. You know, she figured that was a good fight. But look, the whole thing with these special events, Saturday Night Main Event, just in general, all the other stuff that's happening now, all the shows that are going to be coming moving forward, all the big shows. I don't know what's wrong. Has Triple H fallen into a stagnant of not knowing how to book situations? Or is it that he's getting ready for a reset with all these NXT people that are going to be coming up when the draft does happen, because there's going to be a lot more people on the roster, newer people?
I think the problem is they're booking shows so close together. You had Mania, then you had Backlash, and then 2 weeks later you got Main Event, and then 3 weeks later you got Money in the Bank. The shows are too close together.
You're right, and also doing 2 days on main shows, freaking WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Survivor Series. What's the other one? SummerSlam. It's overload. Yes, I understand. You do the 2 shows, it makes money. Yeah, you can add in, and they're not even adding in the cards. You need to have every champion fighting. You got champions in matches that don't belong in matches. You have to tagging a champion up with somebody else to go for tag team champions. No, the belt has to be up for grabs.
What was with Battleground, to have every champion win their belt on Battleground and then the next night on NXT lose them to make call-ups?
Listen, first of all, I'm pissed with Stephanie losing. That was my thing. I don't know why she lost. She should have lost. She should have lost in Battleground. Plain and simple. Battleground have that, but lose in a regular show. That makes no sense. But it makes a lot of sense for you, Matt, because you've been predicting and saying she's coming up to the main roster, and that's what's happening. She's coming to Raw. So I can see that they're trying to rush people up now, and we're gonna have a big call up. So there's a lot of things happening, and hopefully Triple H is seeing all the people that are talking about what's going on with the shows. You know,
but that's what blows my mind right now is we are in a pro wrestling renaissance of sorts, where for the last 3 to 4 years, pro wrestling has been so good.
Yep.
So good. It's been musty. And in the words of The Rock, pro wrestling is cool again. Now we're getting Jay Uso Gunther 5. We're getting, we're going to see Michin versus
What's up, Dubs?
title again. I mean, Seth Rollins, they're pitching the Money in the Bank match as the Money in the Bank match is the match that makes careers. It makes superstars. It makes the next superstar. Why is Seth Rollins in the Money in the Bank ladder match over the likes of Finn Balor, over anybody new? Like, you got all these new stars in there. LA Knight hasn't had a championship yet.
LA Knight should be freaking goddamn making more money and should be in freaking just about everything. They dropped him like a hot potato. It's like he was at an all-time high, dude. He had one of the best fights against freaking Roman Reigns. He put, I don't understand. I just don't understand that this. I don't want to blame The Rock, but you got to blame The Rock because The Rock with his freaking goddamn, his storytelling messed up the whole state of everything. I look at it, the fact that, yes, it is boring. There's a lot of things going on. And also, you just got the Money in the Bank. All right, Seth Rollins in it, right? Seth Rollins, does he deserve it to be it? No, because he's been going for the belt for a long time. But it's pretty cool because he is the big face of the WWE. But they freaking just ruined the women's Money in the Bank. You got Stephanie in it. You got, I don't know if that promo was legit, but they put people in there. We already know who the winners are.
I'm going to take it as legit because WWE is spoiling shit. They spoiled the results of AAA before Friday. So with their promo on Raw, we already know Alberto El Patron is dropping the title to Vikingo tomorrow night. We know it's happening. It's happening. They already are pitching Chad Gable versus Vikingo at Worlds Collide as a AAA championship match. It's happening. Like, I don't know what's going on. And look at the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. You got Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, guys who have not won a world title yet, then Seth Rollins. Well, if Seth Rollins is going to be there, somehow CM Punk's probably going to be in it. Yeah. And
look,
they're toting it as Finn Balor hasn't been in the world title picture God knows how long. So why are we putting Seth Rollins in it? Why?
Because we all know that he's not winning. You know that friggin' he is not going to win he's not winning the Money in the Bank because he's going to wind up still having the feud with CM Punk, Sami Zayn, these freaking guys. That's the whole thing. We just
See you later, Styx. Thanks for coming.
I know it doesn't make sense in some ways, but it makes sense in a lot of the ways to building up storylines, each of them. And look, I would love to see LA Knight win the Money in the Bank. Friggin', as much as I'm not a big Solo fan, have Solo win it. You're going to have Jacob. So Jacob Fatu is going to be in the Money in the Bank, and he's already a champion already. And all right, fine. I understand you put the champion in there, but
nah, he's not in it yet. Solo Sikoa is.
I know, yeah, but I think he's coming. Remember when freaking Nick Aldis told him, "You're in. You're gonna fight." I don't know if he's gonna be, but to make a long story short, what are we doing? We got contenders and players in the back that deserve shots like Finn Balor. You're right. You're making him comic relief on friggin' a soap opera as the Judgment Day turns.
Oh yeah. Well, so he's got to win a qualifier. It's Andrade versus Jacob Fatu versus Carmelo Hayes.
Oh, he's winning. So he's gonna win that. Come on. They're not giving it to Carmelo Hayes, and they're not giving it to freaking goddamn what's his face? What's his name? Drawing a blank.
Andrade.
Yeah, Andrade. Now winning with Andrade, he's going to win that. So he's going in there. This is going to cause him tension between him and Solo.
And so that means that you've only got 2 participants from Raw in the women's ladder match because there's how many spots are in the match total? 5 or 6?
There's I think 6. That's why I think Monday night you're gonna have Stephanie Vakir in the qualifying match, and she's gonna win because you have to have her fight Julia in the thing. Have Julia and have her, the two hottest women in wrestling right now.
I think that's debatable, dude. Julia was very hot coming in, but her NXT, kind of the way her NXT run ended, I think she's cooled off a lot. I don't think she is.
No, the whole fact is that I think there was a contract dispute. That's why I think she had to give up the belt. I think they were trying to work on something.
Yeah. So it is 6. Okay.
Yeah, 6.
Because right now we have Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Julia, Naomi versus Jade Cargill versus Nia Jax.
Jade Cargill's going to be the other one in it. Jade Cargill's going to be in it. And
then there's still one to be named on Raw.
Stephanie Vakir. So you have Jade Cargill and Stephanie Vakir. They already freaking ruined it on who's winning. And wait, next week, and then next week, 4th of July weekend, double taping. They're going to tape the shows are going to be taped. So you're going to find out what happens on those shows because they're giving off 4th of July weekend for all the other wrestlers to enjoy with their families, which I applaud Triple H for doing that because Vince McMahon never did that. But so you're gonna know spoilers already, but they're spoiling the promos already. You see the promos the excitement that Stephanie Vakir, oh my God, Stephanie Vakir is gonna be in a freaking qualifying match, and then she wins. She's already in there already. So now it's like, what the hell, man? Look,
well, I still think the AAA one is the most egregious one they've done yet because that hasn't happened. Vikingo is not the champion. Vikingo was not the champion when he was on Raw on Monday night, and they're already promoting Vikingo versus Chad Gable for the AAA championship.
And you know what that reminds me of? Remember when freaking Mankind won the championship and freaking WCW ruined it?
Yeah, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep. So, is Triple H doing this on purpose? To avoid to say, you know what, let everybody know what's going on, man. It's just, and if he is, shame on him if he's doing that because people want excitement. People want some excitement. If you already know who wins, yeah, the match might be a great match, but you want that thing where it's like it can go either way, where it's going back and forth, and you have no idea who's going to win, and then all of a sudden, the ending results like oh shit type of a scenario. But if you already know, why even watch the Raw show? Why even watch SmackDown if you know the winning's going to be?
Dude, I can't. SmackDown the last 4 weeks has been so bad. Well, let me put it this way: the pro wrestling is good, but everything else is bad. Like the first 2 hours, solid. By hour 3, I'm falling asleep. By hour 3, I'm like, all right, I need to get up and go to the gym. Otherwise, I'm going to fall asleep and not go.
Yeah,
I can't do it. And I'm 3 hours behind you guys. So like, I find myself just finding out what I want to find out online, and then I'm like, all right, I'm out.
I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, there's a lot of changes that are going to be happening with the draft that's coming. We all know the draft is coming because they're talking about it. It's in the works. Maybe it's a reset. They just say, you know what, just throw the shit out of there, let this happen, and we'll just do the reset, and we'll look. Let me tell you something right now with the storylines. Judgment Day is kind of falling flat now, storyline wise. It's like the freaking soap opera, as the Dirty Dom turns.
It is, yeah.
So like, who is he going to go to? Hey, listen, there's
anybody out. Hold on, Dom, real quick. Anybody out online who's saying that Roxanne Perez is better looking than Liv Morgan? You need to get your damn eyes checked. You need to get your eyes checked because she is not better looking than Liv Morgan.
She's cute. Sorry. No, she's cute. She's
cute, but she is not better looking than Liv Morgan.
And listen, and I gotta say that Stephanie Vakir is looking a lot hotter now than before. She was hot, but now she's even hotter.
Purple, dude. The purple on Battleground.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I sent you a story earlier about what if scenario. What if Dirty Dom and Stephanie Vakir become an item?
Oh my God, dude!
Yo, the fucking goddamn the Infinity Gauntlet of freaking women and shit.
He's already collecting. Collecting.
I know. Hey, he's got the greatest job. But Nah, you're right. Like I said, I'm giving the benefit of the doubt that they're ready for a reset because of the draft, and I think this is why they're just playing the rest of this time out to just push things out, get the rest of the storyline. Look, let me tell you something. I am bored of John Cena.
His heel turn has been awful. It's been absolutely awful.
It was great.
It's been the worst thing. It went from so much excitement to becoming the worst thing in pro wrestling.
Exactly. And you know what? And like if this is a storyline saying that he's doing this to ruin wrestling, it's fucking working. It really is. It really is working because, come on, man. That
was one of my biggest problems with Saturday Night Main Event is that R-Truth John Cena match could have been something special.
It could have been.
And the fact that they had R-Truth come out to John Cena's music, entrance music, dressed like John Cena, with the towel, all of it, it could have been something special. They could have had a good match between R-Truth and John Cena, but it turned into a just disgusting squash. It was terrible, and there was no story. They've tried the last couple of weeks with R-Truth, working with Big Jim Uso to try and move this storyline along. There was no build here. That's the one thing I don't like about it. It's like instead of Cena losing, we're just going from like feud to feud to feud to feud, like playing the hit to get him through the rest of the year. There's no story here. The story is him and Cody Rhodes again, and it's just like, okay, well, we're just gonna fill spot here. We know he's not losing. We know there's no stakes here.
If Styx had it perfectly, then he loses in one pay-per-view, gets the belt back and forth. At least a little bit of excitement. You make a champion. You do something. You make something happen out of little things to give a little excitement, and they're not even doing that. And I don't know. And it's across all brands too. You got I don't mind Trick Williams being the TNA champion, but I understand where you're coming from too.
I hate that. Yeah. Well, I'm coming at it from, like I said, to Styx last week when we did our prediction shows. NXT is still very much a developmental brand.
Yes.
It is. You had Joe Hendry, who has worked his ass off, and we have a story about Nick Nemeth talking about this too, but Joe Hendry, who's worked his ass off the last couple of years, win the TNA championship to lose it to a guy in a developmental brand. I don't know what kind of deal TNA and WWE have in all of this, but for a WWE developmental guy to beat the world champion of your brand is embarrassing.
Does the WWE own TNA?
No, I don't think they do, but at this point, they might as well. At this point, I agree with you 100%. They might as well. They signed this deal. They fired all their creative and all their head people. Gail Kim gone. All these other people gone. And now you have, listen, if this was the road they were going, Randy Orton should have beat Joe Hendry for that title at WrestleMania, because that would have done so much more for Joe Hendry than losing to Trick Williams.
Yeah, not only does he get double RKO in WrestleMania, he loses the belt to Trick Williams. So you're making him like a joke at this point.
Or even at Backlash. Like, I know they had that Battleground 2 nights, or even at Backlash, he could have come out and called out Randy Orton and said, I could have beaten you. This time I'm going to do it. And Randy says, all right, well, if we're going to dance again, put the TNA title on the line. You give Randy Orton his next championship right there. You give him 14 right there when he wins the TNA championship. You have someone like Randy Orton leading the TNA men's division, being the TNA world champion. But no, you make your champion, who's put that company on his back, and it's the only reason people are watching TNA right now, and you have him lose to a dude in a developmental brand.
Oh, go ahead, Styx.
Yeah. We talked last week. We said the only way for him to lose that belt to Trick Williams is if they had something down the road where TNA is taking one of the WWE belts. I don't know if that's going to happen. Who knows if it does?
If you wanted the WWE,
but I still agree with you that him losing the belt to Trick Williams is not good for the wrestling product.
Hey, look, how about this? You have Joe Hendry come in and fight freaking Obi Femi, right? And win the NXT champion. You have him do that and win the belt, and he takes the NXT champion away from the top guys in the development league. See, that's the only way it's going to work. If you take my belt, I take your belt. Type of scenario.
But if they wanted to do this, have the Hardys win the tag team titles off of Fraxium.
Exactly.
If you knew Fraxium was already gone and going to go to the main roster, which we all assumed since WrestleMania, before WrestleMania, have the Hardys beat them. Then you could have had Hank and Tank beat the Hardys. Would have done so much more for their careers.
Yep.
There's no. Yep. It's like they're not thinking about the next generation anymore because they have this developmental. They're just coming up through this developmental.
You should be right there. I'm gonna pitch you a job at WWE Creative because obviously you know a lot more than what they do. Yeah, they're making the big bucks, and I understand some of the stuff. But you're absolutely right. You're 100% right on a lot of the other directions that they're going, and it sucks.
I'm not going to dog on WWE writers, but here's what I'm going to say. Some of those writers have been there a long time.
Yep.
Some of them have probably need to take a step back and let someone else come in and start writing.
Yeah, you know what this reminds me of? The freaking Star Wars writers storyboards for Star Wars. Because obviously, look, there's so many directions that they can go. And you're right. You could have made Hank and Tank freaking bigger players than they are by beating the Hardys. You're right. Freaking Faxium comes to the main roster. You knew that was going to happen. Everybody knew that was going to happen. You have them win. And there's so many scenarios. Look, unless they get the Trick Williams thing is he wins the belt, friggin' Joe Hendry fights him again, takes the belt back, and that's it, and end the story. But it's still should have been. You're right. Randy Orton could have won his belt, and that would have been a better opponent to fight Joe Hendry, and Joe Hendry would have got some kind of revenge towards Randy Orton. But at the end, Randy Orton would have been victorious and had the TNA title. But that's another thing. What the hell is Randy Orton's freaking goddamn story? There is no story with Randy Orton right now. He's the direction of what Randy Orton's going. He lost now to Cena. He's losing it. Anyway, he's not fighting it. I don't know what their creative is.
Well, remember they lost some of his creative when KO.
I know it got hurt.
KO got injured.
Kevin Owens.
So that blew that right out of the water. I don't know what their plans were for that, but
my mind just exploded. Do you know how cool of a storyline that would be if they would have held off on doing John Cena, Randy Orton? You have Randy Orton fight Joe Hendry at Backlash in St. Louis. You hold off later on down the line. You have Randy Orton versus John Cena, TNA champion versus WWE championship, winner take all. You have Cena beat Randy.
It takes a teenager, and you on top of that, you can have Nick Aldis, Nick as the special guest referee. You can throw some, you can have made
RKO during the match.
I'm just saying, but the whole fact is, it's part of the story because Randy Orton from goddamn arcade him 3 times. Look, I don't know. Like, I'm just hoping they have a better plan lined up because if they don't, this is going to be a miserable summer when it comes to wrestling. It's going to be a boring summer, and if I look, and I like Jey Uso, but if I have to hear one word, 4 letters, yeet, and no freaking creative drive on talking, he's out of breath when he talks. You ever notice that?
Well, I mean, he's been yeeting for 10 minutes.
I know, but
he's got to yeet for 10 minutes before he gets to the ring.
I know. And by that time, he's at a break. I've been under challenge all my life. No. But at the end of the day, fucking Triple H, what is he doing?
I think the promo thing is that they're letting him go off the cuff now. They're not writing their promos for him. They're letting these wrestlers write their own promos. and come up with stuff and on the fly, kind of like CM Punk has always done. Seth
Ain't working.
Yeah, well, right. For
Doesn't
someone
work
like
for
Jay,
them.
it ain't working. That's why I'm like, they put a good promo guy like Paul Heyman with a dude who doesn't need a promo guy and Seth Rollins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when you watch them, it's like both of them want to talk, but only one of them going to talk.
We all know what's going to happen in the long run. I think freaking Paul Heyman is going to betray Seth. Seth's going to get kicked out of the group. That's what's going to usually happen. And it's all a promo right now. We all know that's coming down the road. You know, because I think Braun Breaker is the Paul Heyman guy. That's the Paul Heyman guy right there, Braun Breaker.
It's Evolution 2.0 is what they're doing.
Well, is it the Revolution?
Seth is Hunter. No, it's Evolution 2.0. Seth is Hunter. Paul Heyman is Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Bronson Reed's Batista. And Braun Breaker's Randy Orton. It's what it is. So Braun Breaker, and I guarantee you it plays out the same way. Braun Breaker is going to win the U.S. or the heavyweight championship. You're going to get Seth Rollins thumbs down. They're going to beat him down. He's going to get tsunami'd a bunch and kicked out of the group. It's going to be Evolution 2.0. It's just already shaping up to be that.
Yeah, you're right. You know, so there goes my idea of Eaton Page. I tried.
Well, no, I think there's going to be a fourth man. There's 100% going to be a fourth man in this group.
Yeah.
Now, is it going to be Ethan Page? I don't know because he's got a title. Could it be Ricky Starks or Ricky Saints?
Because they're talking about Ricky Saints. Rumor has it.
What's the over-under that they change Ricky Saints' back name to Ricky Starks when he comes to the main roster?
Yeah, and that's another thing too. The whole fact is too that there's promos that are going out saying that they're saying that Ricky Starks is coming up, that he's coming up to the main roster. So you can rest assured that
at some point, sure.
If Ethan Page,
I think that's why you saw him lose. That's why you saw him lose to Ethan Page. He's coming up. I think 100% he's coming up.
Yeah, he's coming up.
He's coming up, and he's going to be on Raw. Now, my question is, why are they bringing up? They're bringing up Stephanie and Jordan, but why are they sending Jordan to SmackDown? Julia was getting no play to the point where they took Julia's belt off of her and gave it to Stephanie, and said she was injured, and then came back, and then all she did was lose, and now she lost on Raw. She was outshadowed by Roxanne Perez on Raw, so they shipped her ass to SmackDown. SmackDown has a better women's division. Raw needs people. Why are you sending Jordan Grace to SmackDown? She's going to own that division in no time. What's your end goal there? You're going to hit your highlights? Charlotte Flair versus Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace versus, what's her name? Jada. Oh, my God.
Jay Cargill.
Jay Cargill. Thank you. My brain is all over the place right now.
That's right.
I thought you were thinking of Jada Pinkett.
No. But what this does is it clears room to give. Now, putting the title on JCJ, someone who's been in NXT forever, not done anything, that was a weird.
That was a move that I never saw coming.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't see that on my bingo card at all. On my bingo card.
But it gives people like Dom's girl Jada Parker more time to shine.
Yeah.
Kalani Jordan gets more time to shine. Sol Ruka gets more time to shine.
Hey.
You know, it
does.
You know, that Sol Ruka match, that was a great ending, man. That freaking move, but look, at the end of the day, they got their plan. There's going to be a big roster change shakeup when it comes to the draft. A lot of people are going to change things. I see Jay Cargill maybe coming to Raw. You put Jay Cargill coming to Raw. You keep Rhea Ripley in Raw, you know, and you could have a battle thing with Jay Cargill and Rhea Ripley. Bianca Belair stays in SmackDown. Friggin' what's her name? Jimmy's wife.
Naomi.
Have her stay in SmackDown. You keep Julia there. You have Stephanie Vakir here. You know, there's a lot of women that are gonna be back and forth in these rosters. And like I said, there's a lot of things that can happen. And look, I got a feeling, like I said, I think friggin' Stephanie Vakir becomes part of friggin' a version of Judgment Day, because they are splitting up the two factions. They're going to split up the two factions. I think that Finn is going to do his own thing. You know, they keep pitching Finn and
I think they're going to split into two.
AJ Styles. They keep saying the team of AJ Styles and Finn. They got to put them together. You'll get the Bullet Club. You know, if it happens, but I don't know. Let's.
Let me ask you this. Here's a hot question. Do you think that they're positioning Roxanne Perez to be the next God damn it, I can't think of her name right now. CM Punk's wife. AJ Lee? Are they positioning her to be the new AJ? The AJ for this generation?
I think so. It's a possibility. I see her becoming, that type of a player. The way AJ Lee was playing, the way she was, a little crazy, a little loony, like she was like just playing out. She was like nuts sometimes, and the way what she did, like I could see that. I could see they're giving her a big push because you gave her a storyline now. Now she's in the Judgment Day storyline. And that can go 100 million ways. There's going to be tension between Liv and her. There's going to be a friggin' Roxanne, Raquel. Friggin' there's going to be all these different scenarios. You got Finn Balor, the puppet master, playing. Like, I love the way he was laughing and smiling with that whole thing in the back. It was great. That whole segment was awesome. But
Carlito, you got to stop eating her nuggies, bro.
Yeah, I love his one-liners. Look, at the end of the day, that storyline, you gave her a storyline, so now she has something to strive for. That whole thing. So already they're already pushing her to be a big star. She's gonna wind up winning one of the champions, USA Championship or the Intercontinental Championship down the road.
I don't even think there's a need to talk about our news segment because we pretty much hit everything that I've got in news.
We can still go. I think we have some more tidbits on it if you go through it. All right. It just came up heated. We had a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on in the world of wrestling.
Oh, I think it hasn't stopped yet. It's going to keep getting heated.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just sum up, like, I'm just not. I feel like we're in the early 2000s, middle 2000s, 2010s with pro wrestling, where it's like they haven't been able to get traction since WrestleMania night 1 was so bad. It's like they haven't been able to gain traction again. It's like every time they start, they stumble.
We knew that. You know why? The fucking ticket prices going through the roof. Nobody can afford. You're paying so much money for tickets, and you're getting a subpar show. You're not getting a fantastic show.
And when are the fans going to revolt on them though? When are they going to come back after them?
Dude, I've read comments. They're saying that people are going to start watching AEW now.
Well, dude, I'm here to tell you, AEW was just here, and they couldn't even sell 63,000 tickets.
I know, but you know what?
Their flagship show.
Tony Storm is still the best part of that freaking shit.
And now they're doing Tony Storm versus Mercedes Moné, which makes no sense because Mercedes is undefeated. Tony Storm's the champ. Where do they go? If Mercedes beats Tony, where does Tony go from there? If Tony beats Mercedes, it just they back themselves into a corner there. But it's whatever because Tony Khan's not about seeing, he's not about long-term storytelling or good stories. He's just about cool ass shit that doesn't turn out to be cool ass shit.
Exactly. Like the whole thing with the Ricochet.
Dream matches. Huh? He's got to have those dream matches.
The worst acquisition with Ricochet. The way they're portraying Ricochet there, it's hysterical. But look, at the end of the day, we are going to have fans revolting because there's no reason why you should be paying $6,000 for friggin' ringside seats and Money in the Bank. There's no reason. And who is the dude? The bald guy with the beard that's always he was behind the commentators in Backlash, and he's on Instagram, and he gets to go to all these promotions. How come us off the mat we can't go to these promotions?
Because we're brand new and nobody knows about us really. Are you talking about the dude who always asks people about their Waffle House order or?
No, he comes up. I actually follow him on Instagram.
I like that guy. Muscle Man Mike or whatever. I like that dude.
I don't know. It's just you got people that come on, man. Come on, people out there. Come on, like us. Friggin' like us. Promote us. Make us known to the wrestling world because we need it. We want to yeet our way. Yeet.
Yeah. Nah. Well, Dom, you got to turn that number 5 in the corner to add 2 zeros to it for us to get into those kind of things.
Right?
Yeah, I know.
The shows, the wrestling is good. The wrestling is good, but the shows themselves and how they're booked are just slogs.
Yo, listen, Dragon Lee, Penta, and friggin' Chad Gable. That was some match.
It was a very good match.
And unfortunately, Chad Gable was dropped on his head with that botch that happened.
Twice.
But yeah. So apparently they said he might have a mild concussion landing on his head like that.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. But
I would.
That was a good match, man. It's like it freaking you see Dragon Lee freaking jumped out of the ring, went across to the announce table. What the heck?
Yeah,
I thought he jumped from the center of the ring.
I know.
It was a good match, but
it was.
They bog it down. It's like, okay, the first 2 hours, solid. And Raw's only 2.5 hours. So but my problem with Raw is I'm sick and tired of all the best stuff happening in the last minutes of Raw and then them like ending the show with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the CM Punk stuff and all that. Like it just
there was so much
and like there was so many times during Seth's promo that I was like, somebody's coming out. He just said that somebody's music's hitting. Roman Reigns' music's gonna hit. CM Punk's music's gonna hit. Somebody's music's hitting right here. Somebody's coming out. Nothing.
Like I was telling you backstage before we came on, that ending, in my mind, the possibilities that could have happened at that ending. Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Finn Balor. You got Judgment Day. You got CM Punk. You got Jey Uso. You got a couple of people, that could have came out. You could have had Braun Breaker freaking spearing freaking Carlito or spearing freaking like you would have had all these factions after each other because this whole promo, and then at the end you would have had CM Punk come in and put the 99 on Seth Rollins. That would have been an electrifying ending. But they got
Dom hasn't been out the ringside in a few weeks to help his Judgment Day partners, but first time he's out here, now he causes Finn Balor a match by sliding the chair. And, dude, come on. I understand we're working towards Finn Balor leaving the Judgment Day, but pull that trigger already, man. Pull the trigger. Stop. Like, pull the trigger. Yeah. It needs to happen. Finn Balor deserves better than this. I'm a Finn Balor fan. Balor deserves better. Balor needs to be able to bring the demon back, and he needs better than this. He was your first ever Universal Champion.
For one day.
For one day, and then he got hurt, and then this is how he's been treated ever since. But he comes to work. He shows up.
Yes, he does. He does show up. You know what?
He's the holding the judge. He carrying the Judgment Day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's time for him to be in the spotlight. Like, he deserves this Money in the Bank match more than Seth.
Yeah, he does.
What is Seth? They already positioned the World Heavyweight Championship as the secondary title to the WWE Championship, and it's always going to be that way. So this whole ploy of Seth saying, I need this title to hold power. What power? You're still not the prime. You're still not the A champion. I don't know, man.
Another thing could have happened. You could have had Gunther came out. Gunther could have came out and freaking goddamn went after Jay, and then freaking Bronson Reed would have hit Gunther, and then you would have had that set with Gunther set. You would have had all these different scenarios happen, and they didn't do it. They didn't do a fantastic ending that could have happened on Monday Night Raw. It was cool, but it wasn't as cool as it could have been.
Yeah, but all right, let's table this. Let's get into a little bit of news and talk the news. And I'm sure this story will continue through the news because, like I said, a lot of this is covered in our news segment. So let's do it.
Breaking news! We got Clash! Wrestling ring about to clash in the arena. We'll let this ride. TNA, Nick's no surprise. Slam this story. Cutting away.
All right. Leading us off on news, we already talked about that. We're getting to, according to Reports by Corey Hayes. 2 NXT stars are expected to join the WWE main roster following recent defeats in NXT programming. Stephanie Vaquer, who dropped the NXT Women's Championship to JC Jane on Tuesday night, is reportedly set to join Raw brand. Meanwhile, Jordan Grace, who was defeated by Vaquer at Battleground, is slated to move to SmackDown. Again, don't know why you had to wait till Tuesday to have Stephanie lose, but I guess you had to do it because you wanted both her and Jordan to come up.
It's like that tag team with Becky and why wait till Tuesday to have them drop it?
Becky and Lyra.
Yeah.
Well, we saw how well that went over, so they were like, let's just do that again.
Yeah.
It's going over about as well as the news of WrestleMania being in Vegas permanently now.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you were New Orleans and they turned around, you have WrestleMania, and you're all happy, and people are happy about New Orleans, and then all you turn them around and go, nah, listen, we're taking it out of there, and we're gonna bring it back to Vegas. But don't worry, you can have the complimentary prize. You could have a backlash or a friggin' a Bash at the Beach promo, this and that, and have that. Get out of here. Why are you taking friggin' WrestleMania from New Orleans? The city was preparing to have a big event. It's like taking the Super Bowl out of the place you said the Super Bowl is going to come in, and all those workers, all those people that had opportunity to having jobs, you take it out of there because you don't want it there. What the hell is going on? Look, the thing that sucks when things go corporate, things go bad sometimes. When they go corporate, the greed comes out. Everything starts thinning out. Like, you want to buy this, you buy this, you buy this, you buy that, you buy this, and you try to corner the market, have all these things, and then you could raise the prices and do whatever you want and manipulate everybody because you own those chips. It's like Disney purchasing Marvel, purchasing Star Wars, all these things. They have all these, and then they put out shit. But you're paying for it, and the writers suck. The ideas that they have suck. That's what happens now. This is happening with wrestling. They purchased a lot of organizations. Now it's coming out. Stories are getting blah. What are we doing? The writing, you're fighting. The fans can't curse in the front row. It makes no sense. And then
how much do you think this is TKO?
All of it. I think all of it.
Pushing.
I think all of it. I think TKO is greed. That's why the money. Jacking the prices up for all these pay-per-views. Jacking the prices up to try to get the last dime from everybody.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just that. WWE gets kickback for coming to these cities too.
Yeah,
so
exactly. But
they got a big payday from Vegas to come there because they're bringing all these people. So Vegas is like, they're like, well, if we're bringing, at least a couple million to $1 billion worth of revenue to your city, we expect a little kickback. And that's what Vegas did. New Orleans couldn't do that, couldn't meet their price. And they want only to go now their premium stuff to be in the most technologically up-to-date arenas. That's why, we saw Mercedes, that's why we saw Inuit Dome. That's why we saw Allegiant Stadium. That's why they were at SoFi.
Right.
They want the most updates. So they're going to do updates to the Mercedes-Benz arena to get into that standard. So they'll get a WrestleMania years down the line, but they're like, here's your consolation prize, fucking Money in the Bank.
Yeah. But Money in the Bank, so you're getting away from that, which is not fair to the city, and it's not fair to the fans that were prepared to go. Oh, it's coming to our town, this and that. This is going to be great.
Right.
But once you put corporations and involving things, corporations friggin' have the audacity to overcharge for all these events, and they ruin shit. And that's with every corporation. You know, TKO buying WWE is a corporation that bought a wrestling company.
Do you see that there's rumors out there that Vince is trying to buy WWE back from them?
But Jonathan Coachman, how reliable is he? You know, he says he did say he got sources that are still inside the business that there's a lot of craziness going on behind the scenes that people aren't seeing, and it's true. And you may not want to believe him, but it is true going on behind the scenes. And you know what? I give the benefit of the doubt. I'll believe some things here and there. Is there shit going on behind the scenes? 100% definitely. With the Rock's debacle on what was going on with the storylines and all the stuff like that, of course. I think there's wars going on with Triple H and the Rock. I think TKO is really considering changing of the guard. I like Triple H, but I think that his time might be freaking borrowed time. He might be on his way out.
Nah, I don't think Triple H is going to go anywhere.
Look,
people are coming back in the business to specifically work with him.
I know.
I don't see him going anywhere.
I don't see it either. But
the Rock stuff, I think the Rock stuff, he's not going to be involved in anything until
2027.
Until his movies are done.
It's in 2027 because he got 3 movies that are coming out. He's got other things, so you won't see him for a while. But you ruined a storyline that could have been phenomenal.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda at this point. You gotta. I'm looking past like the John Cena heel turn could have been amazing, and hopefully it finishes strong. But right now, there's no gas to it.
Better.
And it's just, I'm fearful. Like, what are they gonna do? Are they gonna put the belt on Stephanie right away in the main roster? Are they seriously gonna have her come up and have her win Money in the Bank and have her cash in and win the belt off of Io Sky right away?
Either Stephanie or Julia, one of the two. One of the two is gonna win the belt. Or is gonna win the briefcase, because you're not gonna bring these girls up that are hot as shit now in the organization. Stephanie definitely has an edge over Julia right now, but Julia is still hot. You can see them running with that and having that happen right now, which, makes me laugh. So you get the contract, so you can take any of the championships. You can go for the Intercontinental, US, to get whatever championship you want. Why would you want the Intercontinental US Championship when you can go for the freaking the World Champion?
Right. You never see anybody go for those.
So that's why they should have a secondary, something that can qualify you, like in freaking Money in the Bank. You have the winner of that, but you also have qualifying winners of going the fight to become the next in line to fight for that belt.
Well, there's also rumors going around that Triple H doesn't like the Money in the Bank match and he wants to do away with the Money in the Bank stipulation. So who knows how long that'll even be around.
I don't know. But Stephanie has red on already, so Raw is red, so she's already ready to go on Raw. So
yeah, I mean, if you would tell me that when they signed, that all intents and purposes, the signing of Stephanie looked like nothing more than to just keep her from AEW.
Yeah.
She had that banger match versus Mercedes.
Yep.
There was talks of her going to AEW. They signed her to go to AEW. If you told me that WWE was like, oh, well, Julia is going to be the next big star and we're going to, figure out Stephanie, I'd believe you 100%. But Stephanie came in and the crowd got behind her and everyone got behind Stephanie, and Julia just didn't pan out the way they hoped. Well, and I think it was a surprise to them that Stephanie became the bigger star than Julia in WWE.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Julia was a highly watched and talented wrestler that wrestled in Japan. And she was AEW wanted her too. AEW wants everybody. Yeah. So is WWE. But look, me personally, I think that Julia is going to thrive. She's going to get much better, and she's one of the big stars that are going to be in years to come in the main roster. Because how many times can Rhea Ripley go for the belt without any qualifications? Going to friggin' just I'm going to be in the match, and you didn't even fight to be in the match. You just said you're going to be in it, and you're going to be in it. How many times is Charlotte Flair is going to be into the thing? And that's right. Seth Rollins and the John Cena's and all these people that won the belt over and over again. We all know that they get first dibs and everything because they're the ones that put their time in. We know that. But these up and coming stars, these young kids, the young guys, young girls that are coming in here that have a huge potential that can become the next big thing. You got to give them opportunities to make a name for themselves and have things happen where look like Roxanne Perez, right? She wound up breaking the record for the second longest person in Royal Rumble.
In the women's match,
they've only
been doing the women's Royal Rumble for how long?
Well, the women's Royal Rumble has been around for 3 years,
something like that.
Yeah, but to do that,
4 years, something like that.
To do that, you're pushing somebody to be a star. Then they put her in a match. She fights friggin' Tiffany Time, friggin'
Tiffany Stratton.
Stratton fights her. Then they put her in another match, and then they have her with Julia. So their potential of doing things where she could be the next big thing. Shit, she might win Money in the Bank. You don't know. And like I said, you can rest assured that I don't think that Rhea Ripley's winning. Jay Cargill's not winning. It's either going to be between Julia, friggin' Stephanie, Roxanne Perez. Those three are the ones that are definitely gonna.
I mean, if you want my honest opinion, the only person I think that is in that ladder match that deserves to win it is Jade, because she's been putting the work in.
I know she has.
Stephanie was NXT champion. Julia was NXT champion recently. Rhea Ripley was just WWE, heavyweight champion. They don't give it to Jade. Make a new star. Let Jade have that belt. Let Jade cook a little bit.
You got to give Jade Cargill the U.S. Championship or the Intercontinental Championship first before she gets the championship belt. You give her those first because those belts were made for to have something, to win something before you get to win the big one, the big prize. You might as well give that to her. Give the opportunity of winning that belt first. Make a name for that belt. Let a bunch of people have that belt to give it some kind of a prestige to it. And then you have the championship. Hey, look. And we all know again, freaking Money in the Bank. We're gonna have freaking goddamn Becky Lynch fighting goddamn Stephanie Fakir.
She's winning. No, Becky. You mean Lyra Valkyria?
Valkyria.
She's winning this time.
Oh, she is winning. She's definitely winning. It's definitely when she came out with the promo on Monday night against Becky, you know for a fact that Becky's winning this belt. That was that. She's not going to win this again. And she had one of the best promos. She freaking turned around. He goes, why you with your goofy husband? I was home with my hot husband. He goes, yeah, the only talent about you.
But all they're doing is rehashing. They're using the same shit they used to use against Seth with, the only thing good about you is your wife, or the most talented person in your family is your wife. Yeah. And now they're just flipping it. And, the most talented person in your family is your husband. It's tired. It's tired, recycled garbage.
That's what they do with everything. Yo, you know what it reminds me of? Homage covers in comic books that they use the same things over and over again. And I just actually seen something that they're calling trash already. So, Batman, the famous McFarlane Batman cover with Batman with the girl hugging him, with the cape, and then they did mom stuff like that. They got a Vader book. They're making a Vader book with Padme. Vader, his cape is all flying like that, and they have Padme there. I think it's pretty cool. And Bruce is like, "That's not cool," but they use it's the same with
Bruce. Hollywood Bruce is a hater, But Batman 423 is homaged so much, but we're not talking about comic books. We're talking.
I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
The recycle thing over and over again.
Yeah.
With the storylines,
Yeah.
So that
I mean, we had a good stretch when a lot of the storylines were kind of fresh, and recently, since did McMahon left, I guess we have to say when McMahon left, the storylines have been, well, we could use this that we used 10 years ago, and then it gets all recycled.
It's like they used all their creative juices on the fucking bloodline stuff, and now that the bloodline stuff's done, they got nothing.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go back when Austin won the Intercontinental Championship, didn't want it, threw in the water, and then next week Rock had it, became the People's Champ. Why don't you recycle something like that? You know?
But
I don't know.
All right. Next story. Kevin Nash critiques modern wrestlers for what have I been talking about since we started this show? Lack of selling. During a recent edition of his Click This podcast, Kevin Nash discussed a critique of modern wrestlers' tendencies, emphasizing the importance of selling in a match. On Double Knockdown, if you're in the match and you don't have people, or you're having a hard time getting people to where you want them to move them, I learned this from Scott Hall and Shawn Michaels. If you do a double knockout, whether it's a double crossbody, you do a double knockout down, the key to the double knockdown is not to move the minute you hit the ground. Because of your head hits, and we get a response from the people like, okay, that wasn't supposed to happen like that, and then you both hit the mat, nobody moves. Now the referee is looking, and if he's got a good worker, he's looking back and forth going, oh fuck, oh shit, what should I do? I better count 1, 2, 3, nobody moves. Because of the minute you move, the people know you don't need them. When it gets to 7, you'll get to the people to make noise because they're like, come on, man, get up. That's what you need to do. You need to call that match. You need to run the ship out there. On wrestlers adjusting their gear inside of the ring instead of selling. Oh, I see great double knockdowns move where both guys are, and somebody's immediately. I watched the girls and others the other day, and they had a great move outside, and one of the girls is on the floor not moving and selling. She's not moving and selling, except she's pulling up her fucking knee pads. It's like, oh wow. Make sure your fucking costume is fucking squared away. Check your match. Make sure your watch is squared away. So what can you see it? So you can't see it. It's a little tiny thing, but it's always the details between, great and just merely good. And I've been saying that for months. I'll throw that at this. Sol Ruka Soul Snatcher. Great move. But the person has to be in the right place to hit it.
Yes.
And setup is hard. I hate the setup of these people like Tiffany Stratton with the prettiest moonsault ever. She drops you, and then you see a few weeks ago, she dropped Nia Jax, and you see Nia Jax shuffle to get into place for Tiffany Stratton to hit that moonsault. You always see women get knocked down, and I agree with Kevin, knocked down and pulling up their knee pads, fixing something. That's my biggest critique as of late, is like nobody's selling.
I think, when it comes to like that, when like situations like that, with Tiffany Stratton, the move she does, wherever the person falls, stay there. Don't like move over to the spot. Stay there. Expand your range. Expand it. Work on moves where, all right, if she's over here, can I reach this? Can I reach that? Is it possible? And work on that. Instead of, you see, like in the wrestling, they pull them over to the side, they grab them, they pull them. That's one thing. But you're right. Person falls on one side, all you see, and then they shake over to the spot where they have to be for the final. It's just, I don't know.
Well, if the guy is hitting his move and you're popping up within 5 to 10 seconds, the move is moot because it's like, well, that didn't do anything. So why the next time you try to do it, it should be the same thing. You should be getting the same reaction. but you won't. You'll get something different. You'll get a different reaction from someone else because someone else will sell it where someone else won't.
You know
what I'm saying? And that's therein lies the problem with some of these.
And that's the thing. Everybody's got a script on what they have to do. They practice on what they have to do before the shows. They prep before the show comes on. But you have to. You have to be aware. Look, you have to be aware of your surroundings. Like in baseball, when you're running for a ball in the outfield, you got to make sure you know where that wall is when you're gonna hit the wall. Mm-hmm. Nine out of 10 times, sometimes they hit the wall. They figure. That's what they do. You gotta know your place. And if you sell it good, it makes the action better. But if you sell it to a point where it's a shitty sell, people are gonna friggin' meme the shit out of that. They're gonna friggin' say, "What the hell's going on?" And you're right. You have to be able. That's a big part of the game as well. Selling the moves that make the moves look like when Randy Orton RKO's RKO somebody that jumped off the top rope. That's practiced over and over again to a certain point. And yes, botches happen, blunders happen, this and that. But 85% of the time, it actually comes out smooth. You have to give 15% because there's a lot of times. But when you sell it good, it's friggin' awesome. You're like, holy shit. But Kevin Nash is right, and he's right on the. It's a lot of sloppiness in when the wrestlers fight. Like who picks up pads, who does this, who does, and they're not selling it good.
I also think the amount of time they have to work to build the match, pre-match, is very short. A lot of these PLEs now have been every 2 weeks.
You're right.
So when do you get time to work on that? The day
you're still
of
a professional. Like
you're still a professional, but
regardless, you should know how to sell. So if you're like, okay, this is the big power move, you sell. But like my problem is a lot of these finishes, it feels like there's absolutely no creative. That these finishes are, finisher, kick out, finisher, kick out, finisher, kick out, finisher, go home. It's a finisher fest. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I feel like it's sloppy when you see like hard cam move away, have something to let the person get in position. Don't just have them like elbow crawl into position
from one side to the other. It looks dumb.
It does. Yeah.
Bad enough. You sell some things. Like when a guy's punching you, you sell the move. There was recently a shot of a Braun Breaker fighting somebody. I forgot who it was, and was hitting them in the corner, and you could see they weren't even hitting him.
Mm-hmm.
The way if you look at the angle, and it was just showing him like not even hitting the face, like the elbow was going like that. It wasn't even hit the person. So that's understandable what he said. The sell, what makes the whole arrangement of that particular final seconds means something.
And that's how you get the crowd into it. You get crowd reaction. You get heat. You get,
this is awesome.
By selling, because if the person's down and you think they're done, and they're like he said, you're getting to that 8 count, 9, they got to get back in the ring. You're like, come on, let's go. Get up. That's what sells. But I'm just, again, I feel like they're professionals, and no matter how much time they get to or choreography they get before the match, you should know, okay, well, I'm going to drop a big boot, sell. And you call it, and the ring generals are supposed to call it on the fly. So when you see them whisper, okay, I'm going to close on you, sell, it should be, okay, you're going to sell that. Yeah. I don't know.
We'll see. Like I said, that's that, and there's another problem that I'm having when it comes to wrestling these days. Not just to sell either. The finishing moves used by the particular person, and you kick out of it. And it's like you're kicking out of a move that's knocked out people, and you're kicking out of it. Why have a finishing move that it doesn't work anymore?
I call it a finishing move.
Yeah. And it was a perfect example with McIntyre and Priest in Backlash. So I don't know. I have nothing else to say about it. I'm just, it's just
that's been a growing problem for quite a while though. I don't know. I mean, every once in a while they'll kick up into wrestling news where finisher doesn't finish anymore, or this person isn't selling. That all pops up.
You do it, and it's all right, fine. Like, oh wow, he finally kicked out of it. The Cobra Clutch, you finally get out of the Cobra Clutch.
It builds a match. It, like, if you have a guy that's gone, 300 days with nobody kicking out of his finisher, and then you got this big match and he kicks out, that's incredible. That's incredible.
Yep.
But I'm sure it's hard, and I should probably give creative more slack when the day and age of the internet and everybody is an insider, and you got talking schmucks like us on the internet complaining about everything, ruining everything.
And that's why we don't get the likes. Come on, man.
At the same time, I'm very aware that professional wrestling is a soap opera, and I believe it just like you want to believe the telenovela where, Don Carlo's twin brother, Juan Carlo, is sleeping with his brother's wife, and they didn't know, and
he was a twin brother.
Yeah, yada yada yada. It's a soap opera, and it's fun to believe in the kayfabe. It's fun to believe in it, and blur the lines and not and remove the reality from it, and just have fun with it.
I don't know. See, look, what sucks that we always critique things, that are bothering us here and there, and at the end of the day, like the younger generation who's watching wrestling, they couldn't care less. They're just excited to see these guys fight, this and that. But it's like the older generation witness wrestling from its glory days, and now you see it and you're like, wait a minute, this ain't all wrestling. And it's the same thing with movies, the same thing with everything that's going on in life now. That it's built not for really us anymore. It's built more for the next generation.
Yeah.
So the next generation won't be, crucial and friggin' unforgiving like we are.
But I know when a match is good, and I'll get into it, and I'm like, oh, dude, this is sick. And then the minute you see, let me get in a position for you to hit your finisher, I'm like, you just took me out of it. You just took me out of the believability of it. You just took me out of the majesty of it. You took me out of the match.
You know what sucks? If a person's on the ground and they're there, why they count to 3? If they got to move, instead of do the finishing move, their shoulder blades are on the mat already. Just go there without the person. You know what I'm saying?
Or if they're not in position, pick them up, scoop slam them where you want them, deliver your finisher.
Exactly.
Scoop them up, big boot, where do you want them, finisher. And I don't know. It's just, I've been crying about that, and I'll say crying because I've been crying about that for months now, saying that selling, where's the selling? They don't sell. They're not selling. But moving on, in an update, old Johnny People Power Laurinaitis, he was dropped from the Janelle Grant lawsuit. And I contemplated talking about this, but it is big wrestling news. John Laurinaitis is no longer a defendant in the Janelle Grant lawsuit, which alleges serious misconduct by Vince McMahon during his time with WWE. The court filing from Wednesday, May 28th, revealed that Laurinaitis has been dismissed from the case after agreeing to cooperate and provide evidence against Vince McMahon and WWE. So what this sounds like is Vince came out and said that he was going to refuse to give any documents to lawyers, and they said, yeah, well, we'll see about that. And so they went and probably offered Laurinaitis a sweet deal to get what they wanted. And Laurinaitis is like, all right, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you if it means I can continue on my life.
Figured Laurinaitis is John Cena's stepdaddy.
Not anymore. He's not.
I know he's not anymore. He was divorced.
Yeah, he was married to the Bella's mother.
Yeah.
But it was dismissed with prejudice, so it means that he's not necessarily saying he's innocent, but he's not necessarily saying he's guilty. And they're just gonna remove him from the case, and he can move on with his life. But, yeah, for him to just flip on Vince McMahon, this to me smells like they cut him a good, sweet deal to get what they wanted that Vince wasn't offering up.
The more you look at this, lawsuit, the more freaking Vince McMahon was an evil son.
Yes, he was.
More wrestlers are coming out on saying things about him, that the way he was, and how he treated the women. A lot of women didn't like him. He was kind of a creep. He was creeping on them. It's sad. Vince McMahon was a visionary when it came to wrestling. He put this on the map. He gave us the Attitude Era. That was by far.
Did he though, or did Vince Russo?
No,
give us the Attitude
the
Era?
reason why they did it because Kevin Nash and friggin' Scott Hall went to WCW. That's the reason why they made the Attitude Era, because they were trying to compete with the WCW. And if it wasn't for that,
they invaded.
There would have been no Attitude. There would have been no Attitude Era. Meanwhile, what's funny? The Attitude Era didn't last as long as people think. It was 3 years that the Attitude Era lasted.
Yeah.
And they had some of the greatest storylines, some of the greatest in-ring performances, in-ring freaking goddamn promos when it came to things.
Yeah.
You had everything that they can never do today.
It was like 5 years, because it was 97 to 2002.
Maybe 5 years, 3 years. But it still was one of the best eras in all of wrestling on what we got. But if you break it down, think about it.
They had the competition, and that's what I want. That's what I want AEW to be, because they had WCW pushing them, and they were in competition with WCW. That's how they were.
WCW won?
They were in competition with AEW, whether they want to admit it or not. They were in competition with AEW, so WWE stepped their game up. Now AEW has faltered, and they're losing fans, and they're struggling to sell shows, and WWE is getting more laxed. They need good competition. Competition makes professional wrestling better for everyone. So they need AEW to elevate, to have that competition, to elevate professional wrestling across the board, no matter what company you're in.
Yeah.
Or they need TNA to step up. Well, fuck, they can't do that because they just stuck their thumb in TNA's butthole. And what are you going to do?
That's what I'm saying. Corporations, you buy all the competition, and that's why the storylines lack, because there's nothing that can compete to make you get better stories. You put generic stories, this like lousy stories that the regular person will watch and don't care. But at the same time, there's no creativity in some of these stories and these things that they do. That's what corporations do. They take the life out of something that was good.
All right, moving on. Dom's alluded to it a couple times. WWE considers asking fans to avoid swearing during shows. WWE is considering directly requesting its live audience to avoid swearing during television events. On this latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, David Meltzer reported that WWE's idea includes making an announcement to fans who are present at the show's broadcast around the world. He said, people have actually suggested this, and just like making an announcement of, hey, we're here, it's a TV show, it's gonna go all over the world. We want you to have fun. Don't swear because it's going to ruin the TV show. Meltzer noted how much a request might have been perceived in the past with how today's audience might react. He continued, in the past, if they had done that, the audience would have then started swearing because they wouldn't want to be controlled. But I think this audience is mature enough to start and smart enough and everything like that, that if you told them that, I don't think they would take it that way. Although this idea has been discussed internally, it has not yet been implemented.
Stop the controlling. Stop the stuff. Let the fans be the fans. The fans would make these shows spectacular. The energy of the fans give life to these shows. You got to control, can't curse. How? You're going to control hundreds of fans, thousands of fans, to not say, fuck, shit, and, you Solo sucks, Solo, no, you stop doing that. Let the fans be the fans. This is corporations trying to control the narrative. Again, this is what I'm trying to say. This is what they do.
We already have a 30-second or whatever delay on a program.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, so the truck can bleep out stuff. If you don't want
And
that,
they
just
suck
make
at
sure
it.
the truck
They
is.
absolutely suck at it. Their sensors
Well,
are
yeah.
terrible.
Well, there you go. Get better people in the truck.
When did we,
when they aren't sleeping?
as a society, lose the ability for parents to parent? Because that's where I come up with this. Why is it that WWE feels the need to say, oh, well, don't swear because there might be little kids around, when you've got parents that take their kids to R-rated movies? Call me a bad parent. My 3-year-old can use the F word in perfect context. And I'm damn proud of that as their father, because it's just a word. We give words power.
That's true.
We are, as a country here in the States, are so sensitive to words. And other countries around the world are not. They use swear words in everyday. Look at England. They use swear words in everyday language.
Yeah, buddy.
I see you next Tuesday, or
Right.
whatever.
Look, this is corporate America, and I'm going to keep saying it. Corporate America has taken away the ability of what we as people can do. Control. You want to control. You want to puppeteer what we say, what we do, how we walk, how we talk, what we wear, how we go about life. You take the fun out of things. Hey, look, is it a good thing to have cursing next to little kids? No, I'm not going to give that. But the parents that are now parents that watch wrestling, they're teaching their sons and their daughters of what they did to come to wrestling matches and do that stuff like that. And, it's fun. So that means the word when Cody told Rock, go fuck yourself, back in WrestleMania. Was it WrestleMania? Yeah, right? No, not that.
No, it was
not WrestleMania.
it was Elimination Chamber.
Elimination Chamber. You're going to stop that? You're going to stop the cursing? You're going to stop the did they get, was The Rock used every other word in the dictionary when he came on the shows the last couple of times? He cursed so many damn times. Come on, man. You want to write out everything that a person says. You want to bleep out things. You're on cable network. You're bleeping out, you're blacking out pictures on cable network.
Even on Netflix, you're a premium subscription service.
Exactly. And you're blocking out things. And there's some things you don't block out. It's just, see, you guys see, it's right. Like Dub says, TKO now owns the rights to all these things, and they can choose if you're going to come in and swear. They can turn around and say, you know what? If you swear, you're no longer welcome to coming to wrestling matches.
Okay, and then they're going to have no crowd.
That's what I'm trying to say. So you can't control. Just continue to block out. You get better people that can block out the thing and let people be people. Let them enjoy the show. Stop trying to control the narrative.
If you can't sit there and give a holy shit chant when there's a holy shit moment, what's that going to do to your crowd?
Exactly.
Like,
holy shucks.
I understand not going in there, holy crap, doesn't have the same effect as holy shit.
Exactly.
Like, I understand. Don't go in there. Don't be a belligerent idiot and just swear to celebrate it. Don't just start going fuck, shit, bitch, cock, balls just to celebrate it.
What if you have Tourette's? What do you have Tourette's and you're yelling that?
Well,
it happens to people with Tourette's.
Yes, it does happen to people with Tourette's. But I'm saying, like, you know, as a WWE fan, when you watch it on TV, what to expect.
Yep.
When you go to a WWE show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what to expect when you take your kid to that WWE show. You're willingly saying, okay, it happens. They're just words. I tell my kid they're sentence enhancers. Don't use them at school. You can use them at home.
Yeah.
But I respect, I watch my mouth around other people's kids because not everybody's like me.
Exactly.
And they raise their kids differently, and that I get that. But at the end of the day, that means that's up to the parent to decide whether they want to take that said child to a WWE show.
Exactly. And
it's not up to WWE or these other corporations to censor
exactly
what we do. And like our take on nudity here is vastly different than our take on nudity around the world. Like, there's news stations that have weather girls topless, and
it should be here.
Technically, the whole business of WWE is controlling the narrative. It's true, but listen, I don't want to. They had the perfect formula back in the day where your first hour was Raw, and then you had Raw is War, the second hour, and it was no holds barred, using foul language
because it was later on after 9 o'clock. After 9 o'clock, you could use the words. And you're right. Look at the Attitude Era. There were kids that watched these bikini matches, these mud wrestling matches, freaking Trish Stratus barking like a dog in a freaking bikini, in a freaking bra panties. And these kids grew up to be like us, grew up to be like us, and look how the range we are. But you can't control the narrative. And like I said, corporate America is trying to do that, trying to control every damn aspect of the way we talk, walk, shit, pee, eat, and it's not fair. You want these shows to thrive. Raw, there's a meaning behind Raw, like you said, Matt. Raw has always been Raw. That's why it's called Raw. At the end of the day, these you can't control the narrative of 50,000 people in a stadium or an arena that is there to freaking love your product. And when something is good, they're excited. And you're right. Holy shit is a lot better than holy crap or Jolly G Willikers. Fuck out of here, man.
Gee whiz there, Mr. Peebles.
And it fuels. Like, look at John Cena when they were screaming fuck you, Cena. And I understand it getting out of control by the fan throwing the bottle at Cena. That shouldn't happen. I'm not condoning that. But
no.
It just doesn't work.
Why is Dubs on the screen? Dubs' comments are coming on the bottom on the screen, and not the. He's in the narrative too, the comment section. It's also on the screen itself.
I think someone hit the show comment on the stage.
Yeah. No, but what do you got, Styx?
You talk about we've talked about this before, where we want crowds like we got crowds at the European sites.
Yeah.
Germany, UK, Italy. Was it Italy? Yeah, I think it was Italy. where those crowds were into and part of the show. We don't want crowds like WrestleMania Las Vegas, where they were sitting there posting on Instagram like Dom doesn't work.
True.
You know, and that's what they were. The crowd was so quiet. We've already talked about this ad nauseum, but you know, and when the crowd does get, they're cheering for the wrong guy, because they don't know who the hell they're cheering for.
We almost had a situation here. My daughter busted in here because she's getting ready to take a bath and started to take her clothes off in here. And I had to go off camera. I was like, oh no, we almost had a situation here.
You gotta have this out here.
Yeah.
You know,
I think they qualified.
Right.
Listen, you know, it really takes the steam out of a lot of things when they start to do stuff like this. You take away the stuff that makes these things spectacular. You know, it's like, well, kidding aside, it's like Saudi Arabia.
I'm gonna throw this one up. This is
100%
correct.
I feel, yeah, exactly. You see, that's true. You know, it reminds me of like Saudi Arabia. When the girls go to Saudi Arabia, they have to be covered. You know,
right.
You can't. You know, you have to everywhere. It's like movies. You send movies overseas. You have to take out all the stuff you have here in America to please that crowd. Why are you taking out stuff in America that should be here? We're not another country. We're America. Leave what's going on here. I'm sorry about this, about the sensitive snowflakes that are out there that freaking cry for every little fucking thing. No, stop the shit, man. Just stop it. Let us be the fans we want to be, to cheer who we want to cheer for, to friggin' swear at the moments that are like, holy shit, this is a great show. Stop trying to control the narrative. End the story, man.
All right. Moving on here. Nick Nemeth is legitimately pissed off over Trick Williams' TNA World Title win. At this past weekend's NXT Battleground 2025 pay-per-view event, Trick Williams stunned the wrestling world by defeating Joe Henry to capture the TNA World Championship. The victory has stirred up strong reactions, especially from former TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth. In a recent interview with What Culture, Nemeth didn't hold back when asked about the title change. Clearly upset, he admitted that the outcome has left him furious, expressing frustration over Williams walking away with the prestige title. He said, "I'm absolutely furious and pissed off about it. And that's no joke or a game. I feel like Joe Hendry has accomplished so much, and he's brought so many eyes to TNA, and he's kicked it so much ass. This isn't a world of participation medals and awards that says, hey, great job. You lost your world title to a different guy from a different company. So I don't go, hey, great job, buddy. Thanks for trying really, really hard and losing our title to a different company. I say I congratulated him when he brings people in, when he defends the title. He beat me, and I said, damn it, you beat me. You got me. And when you lose and you mess up, you're just like I do to myself, or I get on Ryan's case when he makes mistakes. We own up to it. He lost our world title. I'm not okay with that. I feel like we might need to bring back wrestling court or something, or pull him aside with everybody in the locker room, because if everyone's going to pat him on the back for the good things, we need to let him know when he's messed up and lost our world title. Trick Williams is a badass. He's awesome. He's got a great future, but he's an NXT talent who is now a TNA world champion, and I'm pissed off about it. And I agree 100%.
But let me ask you a question now. How much is that work, and 100%? How much is that actual frustration?
I think it's probably 90-10.
Okay.
That would be my guess, is 90-10. Frustration versus work. He's 100% right. And I said it at the beginning of the thing, is that NXT is still looked at as and treated like a developmental brand. And because you have a guy in a developmental brand winning this company's top prize, it makes TNA look bad. And I said it last week when we did our preview show. I said, if Trick Williams beats Joe Hendry, it's going to look bad. It's WWE giving a big fuck you to TNA. And so what does TNA get out of this ordeal? Okay, you get some of our stars to show up. Oh, great. You had Obafemi show up, Trick Williams show up over there. Right, what's her name? Cora Jade, who's not with the company anymore, who for all intents and purposes might just be a TNA, wrestler soon.
Yeah.
You've Dolph Ziggler, a guy who's been on top, WWE and TNA. Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler, whatever you want to go by. To have, he's right. Like, Joe Hendry was celebrated for all of his work and carrying TNA and brought eyes to TNA. And then WWE just rolls in and says, suck it. And it just doesn't sit well with me. And
I tell you what, are they going to do a Dolph Ziggler versus Trick Williams for him to win the belt back?
No, they're going to do Mike Santana versus Trick Williams. And I hope Mike Santana takes the belt back from him.
Well, look, let's put it this way. You got to have you have to have something for something. You need to have somebody in TNA win the NXT championship.
Well, that's what I said.
You can have Moose. You can have Dolph Ziggler winning it.
Yeah.
You can have somebody that somebody that can definitely come in and take the belt, NXT belt. Look,
but you already did. I mean, the most believable guy to do that would have been Moose.
Exactly.
Moose versus Obafemi, and Obafemi beat him.
Yep.
I don't. I might be wrong, but I don't see WWE willingly letting a TNA guy come in and beat. Like that. It feels like this was WWE saying, "Hey, kid, know your place," because we're still WWE. We're such a big powerhouse company that our developmental guy is going to take down your world heavyweight champion.
Yeah, but Joe Hendry's on their freaking list of getting. They want Joe Hendry. He is going to be a free agent soon. They're getting him, so they're building up. That's probably going to be a build up for that match.
He's going to come to WWE and his gimmick's going to die.
Yeah,
just like Broken Matt Hardy.
And just like the Fiend. When the Fiend was doing the Fiend, they got rid of that. They got rid of all the good stuff. But this, like I said, he's 100% right in what he said. They're treating TNA like the redheaded stepchild. They have good wrestlers there. Hey, look, they had Jordan Grace. They snatched Jordan Grace up. Jordan Grace is with WWE now. And she's going to be in the main roster soon. So it's like, did they purchase part of TNA? Is TKO partial owners of TNA?
If they were, it would have came out by now, because that's something they have to put on their portfolio.
I know, but maybe they're the private people backing. They're backing TNA. We don't know yet. Like, look, okay, decide, because what is it? It's one sided. Then if you're gonna have have people from NXT, which you're right, Matt, a developmental brand, come in and become the top dog in a wrestling organization. There's got to be more to this than just that. You're giving opportunities. You gave opportunities to Jordan Grace. She was in the Royal Rumble a couple of years, 2 years ago. You gave her opportunity. Now she's part of WWE. So this is probably what they're gonna do with Joe Hendry too. Joe Hendry's coming to WWE. They're just planting the seed for that. And you gotta hope that the gimmick doesn't die, but it's just something. And like I said, Ziggler's right. maybe they have something this week on TNA coming up where Joe Hendry goes on trial for losing the belt to a developmental player, and sparks a big feud to make a good storyline. Maybe part of the storyline. I don't know, but it is kind of interesting and weird that happened, and hopefully we'll find out more on why that is. Come next couple of weeks.
I say this. I stay the same. I think it. I know a lot of people probably won't agree with me out there, but I think it shits all over TNA having Trick Williams. I think if you wanted to do this, cool, and you wanted to trudge new territory and have a WWE guy win a TNA belt, it should have been Randy Orton at WrestleMania or even at Backlash. They could have held off on Cena Orton down, for a few more months, and you could have had Orton win the belt off Joe Hendry at Backlash. You could have Orton be the TNA champion and do a storyline there because he's got nothing going on in WWE.
He doesn't.
Or Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre's got nothing going on. He left for months. He probably won't be back until November. October, November, towards the end of the year, where it's going to be probably revealed that he's The Rock's true champion. But I don't know. It's a move that doesn't sit with me, and I don't care who sits there and says, oh, well, I've seen a lot of people that do this, what we're doing, who are much more followed than us and are much more in the know than us. They're like, oh, that's a good call. No, it's not. How's it a good call? If it was a main roster guy doing it, like a John Cena, Randy Orton, sure, I get it. You're building up TNA. But you just shit all over Joe Hendry, who you're trying to bring in because you had him lose to a developmental guy. That just tells me that you're saying that TNA is no better than your fucking developmental brand. Give me a break. Maybe it's maybe it's because they don't know what to do with Trick. Hey, yeah. Because
I thought that Trick was the leader of the friggin'
so did I.
The Dark State.
Yeah. We all did.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes sense. If he was the leader of Dark State, that would have been all right. It's pretty cool. Yeah, he's the leader. We knew all along, and he has that group with him. And they could have came into WWE, the main roster, and it would have been freaking great. But I don't know. There's a plan for everything. Hopefully the plan with TNA, and Trick Williams with the belt and Joe Hendry losing. There's a bigger plan out there that we're not seeing just yet, and it'll come out, and we'll see.
But I just feel like WWE is trying to. I feel like WWE is creating Roman Reigns 2.0 in a way with Trick Williams, where they're just trying to shove him down your throat. How long did they try to shove Roman Reigns down our throat?
Yeah.
And fans would just not get behind him.
But Trick Williams he's just starting out.
Right. And I understand that, but I just feel like he's just been shoved down our throat on NXT. And I think if you watch the main roster, then you don't feel the same way because you don't really know what's going on with Trick Williams. But if you're an avid wrestling fan and you watch TNA or NXT, it just feels like they're just jamming.
Look, when he won the first championship, when he was in the shadow of freaking Carmelo Hayes, and he found out Carmelo Hayes was one who attacked him, and he won the first championship, people were behind him. It's not they weren't behind him. They were behind him.
Right.
I don't know what their main goal is, what's what. Yes, he's going to come to the main roster. Comes to the main roster, get buried like a Carmelo Hayes. Maybe we'll see.
But that's it for news. We've been on this fucking shit for an hour and 39 minutes, and we're just now getting through news. It's time for reviews. We're going to start out with our review. A SmackDown 00 says the problem with Roman Reigns analogy is that they keep doing it, and doing it eventually worked. Yeah. Well, no, I'll tell you what did it. His leukemia coming back and him going away and people having sympathy for him.
Yep.
And then when they came back, he came back in a good storyline. He came back with Paul Heyman. He came back and became the tribal chief. He came back and he was gone long enough that people it settled, and he came back and repackaged himself.
And they slowly built the friggin' the bloodline, which you were invested in the story. The whole thing with Sami Zayn, you were invested. That was one of the best storylines for the past 3 years, or even longer, depending on that. And the best thing for Roman Reigns was putting with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman made Roman Reigns the tribal chief. Plain and simple.
Absolutely.
Because remember, the same comparisons that Jey Uso's getting right now, he can't wrestle. He's only got 3 moves. He can't talk on the mic. He can't do this. That's the same shit they were saying about Roman Reigns.
Yep.
He can't talk on the mic. He can't cut a promo. He's only got 3 moves. Superman punch, spear, drive-by, Samoan drop. That's it. That's all you get from Roman Reigns. It's the same narrative they have about a lot of these guys. And I don't know. I just don't like Trick Williams. I don't like his character. I don't like he could be so much better. And I have a feeling I've said it before. He's going to be the next Carmelo Hayes. He's going to come to the main roster and he's going to get buried. And slowly but surely, a few years in, Carmelo Hayes is just starting to come out. But again, they're doing the same thing with Carmelo as they've done with everyone else. He gets put with The Miz. It's like when we're going to bury a guy from NXT, you put him with The Miz. And Carmelo's slowly, but look, Baron Corbin, case in point, was a big guy. It was a big star in NXT. Came up, they tried, never got off. They gave him the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale. They gave him, Money in the Bank. They tried to do everything they could to get Baron Corbin over. But when he got over? When he was broke-ass Corbin. And then he went back to NXT, had a good run with Braun Breaker, then came back to the main roster, and again, automatically put on the back burner.
Yep. So,
look at Io Sky. How long did it take Io Sky to take off on the main roster when she came up?
Yeah.
It's very rare. Look at Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler was a powerhouse, a beast in NXT. Never got the same put. And you could blame that on Vince. Sure. But it was never the same. Just that's why, when I see Trick Williams and I think about Trick Williams, I think about Velveteen Dream. In the aspect, and I know that's a terrible comparison because of the accusations against Velveteen Dream, but I say that in Velveteen Dream had a gimmick that was so over in NXT, but that his whole shtick was his gimmick will never work on the main roster. His gimmick will never work on the main roster. His gimmick will never work on the main roster. I get that same feeling in a lot of ways by Trick Williams. If he comes out, are they going to repackage him? Is it going to be something else? Are you going to get the crowds, the big arenas like that to chant, whoop that Trick as he's coming out? Are they going to receive him the same way? I don't know. But I'm just not a fan of, I'm a fan of what they did in a WWE guy winning another brand's title because it keeps it interesting, but not in the disrespectful manner of basically spitting on that company when you have a developmental guy and you've said it. WWE has set the stage for this to be their developmental, because they tell you go from LFG to Evolve, from Evolve to NXT to the main roster. There's a reason they call it main roster.
Yep.
They call Major League Baseball, minor league baseball. It's a developmental guy taken out.
It's like minor league baseball. A guy hits 400 and they put him as the 400 hitter in the Major League Baseball to become the batting champ in the minor leagues. And your main roster star loses to a minor league star that wins the batting title.
And be like a dude in your beer league softball league who can just crush underpitched softballs all day long, coming up and facing 100-mile-an-hour pitcher in the major leagues, and he can't hit shit.
Yeah.
But all right, let's get into our reviews, and we're gonna start off by talking about last Friday's SmackDown. We're gonna cover Saturday Night Main Event. We're gonna cover NXT Battleground, then Raw and NXT this week as well. So let's get into that.
Fight, ignite tonight. Wrestling fire burns so bright. In this review, we'll show what's true. Breaking barriers, breaking through.
All right, kicking us off, we got Friday Night SmackDown. Tiffany Stratton opened the show on SmackDown. She asked the fans, what time is it? A year ago, she went into Money in the Bank with all the hype in the world, and now she stands here as the champion. In 2 weeks, someone will earn the same opportunity she had. Alexa Bliss interrupts Tiffany. She introduced herself and tells Tiffany she has had her eye on her. Tiffany better pray she doesn't win Money in the Bank, as her downfall will be just as quick as her rise. Charlotte Flair is up next. She got the shit booed out of her when she came out, by the way. She claims to be the most humble 14-time champion of all time. Tiffany is doing great, but isn't going to last forever. The only thing Charlotte hasn't done yet is win Money in the Bank. When she wins and cashes in the briefcase, not only is she taking back the title, she will take back the spotlight. Stratton calls Alexa and Charlotte vintage, while she's the upgrade, and she isn't worried about it and continuing to be Tiffy time. Julia enters for an opening match, which, by the way, she did have a nice sick burn on Charlotte too when she, kind of threw it back in Charlotte's face. That Charlotte has said before that that's the easy way out. That's the chump's way, by winning the Money in the Bank, and that's how a loser does it, is by winning Money in the Bank and cashing in. She told Tiffany that, and Tiffany threw it right back in her face.
Yeah, I like the fact you called Alexa and called Charlotte vintage.
Alexa's only in her 30s. She's like 33 or 34.
I know, but she still is vintage because Tiffany's only like 23.
Well, yeah.
So,
but
it's like my nephew calling me vintage. My nephew goes, "I'm the upgrade. You're the vintage." I'm like, go fuck yourself.
I'm antique.
Yeah, no, you're a relic. You're a relic. No, I think that promo
biblical times.
I think that promo was pretty good. I also like the stare down with Julia when she coming into the ring for her first match. There's a lot of potential for the women in WWE now more than ever, and I like the fact I want to see new stars. Like you said, we always want to see new stars. The same people win the belts over and over and over again. And I understand why they do it. It's the safe net. Also, it's what the companies and the fans want. The fans just want a good show. The fans want action. They want something new. They are talking the same thing we're talking about, using the same recycle storylines and stuff over and over again. They talk to. They want to see new stuff. I want to see new challenges. I want to see new people win. I want to see new storylines. I want to see holy shit moments that we haven't seen. It's just that's what it's like. It's like the reboots, movies that are rebooted, shows rebooted. Same thing with wrestling. Things are rebooted over and over again. Alexa Bliss, we all know that her time is turning to be part of the the Wyatt Six. If that's going to happen. And speaking about the Wyatt Six, I thought that was a great ending to SmackDown. I know we're going to talk about that, but the whole fact is that now you got them back as a faction, and they kick ass whoever's there. They don't care. See, I like that. I want that. I don't want like one dominant group that just goes after the bad guys or go after the good guys. I want one guy that goes after bad guys and just destroys everybody.
Chaos. You want chaos.
Yeah, exactly. I like the chaos. Exactly. But back to the women, I think there's a huge future. There's a lot of great women that are coming up, and it should be exciting for the other, the wrestlers. Like Vega winning the Intercontinental Championship, the U.S. Championship. I like that. I like the fact that she won that.
I do too.
And I think that I think those belts are great to give women opportunities to get up there in the spotlight, to make more of a name of themselves. They had a name for themselves regularly, but winning that belt and putting on the line week after week and showing their stuff, I think it's great.
But she has a story that makes you feel for her too. Like she lost her dad in 9/11.
Yeah.
She won the United States Championship. She took the United States Championship and put it under her dad's name on the 9/11 memorial. Like there's that story. There's that heartstrings they can pull on. It makes good story.
Exactly. And you see, and that's what everything should have. A lot of the stories should have that. But like I said, it's a start. Maybe we'll see some things, some different things. And like I said, you hope for the best, prepare for the worst when it comes to a lot of these situations. And like I said, the women's divisions, listen, all kidding aside, the Nia Jax of the world, it makes wrestling great. She may not be able to wrestle like it, but it's great for storyline. It's great to have these things. I want to see, all kidding aside, you believe it or not, I do want to see a female bloodline. I want to see Nia Jax leaving the field. I want to see stuff like that. Change things up. You could have a bunch of more females interacting with the male. I would love to see the intergender matches where the females fight the males. I know they're not going to do that anymore because, quote unquote, they don't want to push that agenda. But I want to see stuff like friggin' Penta when Penta fought friggin' Chelsea Green in the friggin'
or Io Sky.
Io Sky. I want to see stuff like that. Dude, the excitement for that alone is freaking crazy, man. That would bring excitement back instead of just having this regular, just generic machine over and over again of, equal rights. Oh, this guy has to fight this guy. I got to change things up. But I'm going off subject here. But the female wrestlers, they look good. There's a big future, and there's still a lot of people.
I hope they don't call it female blood.
No, it's called something else. I just, the future is there's still a lot of girls. And once they do the draft, and a lot of the girls are going to be called up, there's still a lot of girls in TNA too. That in NXT and TNA that, I still think that TKO is purchasing TNA, and it's going to be part of that. But yeah, that promo was great. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of that. And I want to see more of Julia interacting because I can't wait to see Julia really get into. And let's Styx talk. I know. Go ahead.
No, I'm just messing around. Because I just see him sitting there looking over to the side like this, and like, what do you think of that opening promo from SmackDown, Styx?
I thought it was great. That really worked into her. I mean, you got a reaction from her. She's like, I did say that. And so she took it for what it was, and it was good. It was good. I have no problems with that.
I think the way the crowd booed Charlotte Flair when she showed up shows WWE that nobody wants Charlotte Flair on their TVs anytime soon.
Yeah, true.
We got our first Money in the Bank qualifier match of the night. Julia versus Charlotte Flair versus Zelina Vega, with Julia picking up the win. What were you going to say, Styx?
I was going to say, I don't want to see her on the screen. I don't think they want her having such a silver spoon in her mouth that she's got, where she feels like she's going to, and that she does win the championship every time she turns around.
Well, and it's funny that she had this promo where she's like, when I have to qualify for it, I just show up and get granted. And yet now she's in a Money in the Bank qualifying match. She ain't getting granted nothing. Backstage, Chelsea Green talks down to Zelina Vega, which started a fight. Me, Chin, and B-Fab get involved with Secret Hervis. So security steps in. Nick Aldis books a match on the spot. Here we go again. Chelsea Green versus Me and Chin. What, 20 now? We got Tommaso Ciampa with Johnny Gargano versus Chris Sabin with Alex Shelley. Winner Tommaso Ciampa with an assist from Candice LeRae. So we welcome back Candice LeRae. Just like the opening to the show, Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre continue their fight. Security struggles to keep them apart. Jacob Fatu does not like JC Mateo. I hate that name. Call him Jeff Cobb. Being part of their group. He isn't family. Solo Sikoa encouraged them to be on the same page ahead of their tag match tonight. Then we had Alba Fire and Piper Niven with Chelsea Green versus Michin B-Fab with Zelina Vega, with Michin and B-Fab picking up the win. Yeah, and Santano. Oh my God, I can't talk. Santos Escobar tries to get Berto back on his side by telling him about the opportunity to take on a AAA at Worlds Collide as a team. Berto takes a drink and walks away without saying a word. Escobar is confident he will understand soon. Jimmy Uso and Rey Fenix versus Jacob Fatu and JC Mateo with Solo Sikoa, with Mateo and Fatu picking up the win. R-Truth makes his way to the ring to talk to John Cena. He isn't fighting his childhood hero tomorrow night. The man he sees now, he doesn't recognize him. Truth couldn't figure out where it went wrong, or he could have prevented this, but then he realized the problem: power. It's always power. He used to call him his friend, his brother, but the most power and fame he got, the more disconnected he felt. The text messages, the replies slower, phone calls stopped. R-Truth felt he was always annoyed with him because everything he did felt wrong. He thought he did something to upset him, but then they would talk to others and they felt the same way. John Cena isolated himself with power. He was like what goblin fella on the Lord of the Rings with John Cena. Staring at his championship. It's not like the championship. It's not his ego. Cena stopped having fun and now is getting mad when others are having fun. He's clearly not happy. He is the greatest of all time. Truth doesn't know if he can bring him back, but he won't take his joy away. You want to ruin wrestling, so if he wants to save wrestling, he has to save Cena. If he has to put his hands on him, well, he will smack that hustle load for respect right back into his ass. On Saturday, we say it again. If Cena wins, we riot. What's up? That's good promo from R-Truth.
Yeah.
Damn good promo from R-Truth. Then we had the Money in the Bank qualifier match. LA Knight versus Aleister Black versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I can't believe I thought Slow Style was gone.
No, he's back.
I thought so too.
I can't believe Slow Style was on there, but he just was on there to play jobber and lose to LA Knight again. And LA Knight's heading to Money in the Bank. Nick Aldis let Jacob Fatu know he will be in Money in the Bank qualifier match next week. Fatu is so happy. He tells Solo Sikoa he loves him. And I think Solo's doing funny work too, where he's like, he hasn't said that to me in 6 months.
Yeah, but you know the seeds getting planted where Solo's gonna figure to attack Jacob Fatu.
100%. 100%.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I bet you there's a spot in the Money in the Bank match where one of them is where Jacob Fatu is climbing the ladder about to win and Solo stops him and it starts that rift.
Yep.
Then we got a WWE Tag Team Championship, Street Profits versus Fraxium. The match ended in no contest when the Wyatt Six showed up, took everybody out to announce that they're back on Wyatt's birthday.
I thought that was cool. You see, and they came back and they made a statement.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like that. I like that energy that they brought back, coming back. You know, it was a pretty cool ending. The way the lights went out, came back, and they were there and they freaking kicked everybody's ass. I like that. I want more of that.
No supernatural bull crap.
Nope.
None of that. They just lights out, lights on.
Lights on, and they were there, and they whipped everyone's ass. Freaking Motor City Machine Guns, freaking Faxium, and freaking these guys, the Street Profits. I like that. Yeah, he was like,
Montez Ford.
Montez Ford.
Montez Ford. That was great. That was a great look on his face.
But I like that. I like that energy. I like that energy was there, and I want to see. You know, even if they don't win anything, I want to see them come out in situations. Not all the time, because you don't want them to freaking like every time they come out, this and that. I want to see them come out spontaneously. You don't win. They come out like you have a big match and they come out and just start whipping people. I want to see that. That reminds me of the old school days. I like that.
Yeah.
Just give me more.
Yeah, you don't want it every week,
exactly.
but you want it sporadically, and have it build up to something, So.
Like I want to see every member show up in the Royal Rumble, and then they're just throwing people out. They're all throwing people out, and then somebody comes in, so it's eliminate. I just want to see chaos. I want them to be the chaotic part of WWE, and I want them to show up like on a Raw one night. Just show up. You're not supposed to be here. Why are they here? Because they can.
Because they don't give a shit. They're going to be up whoever they want to be up. Yeah.
Chad Gable hasn't been the same since last time Wyatt 6 debuted. You're right. He hasn't.
He hasn't.
When he supposedly got shot in the head.
That was the best. Oh my God, he's dead. and then freaking goddamn this guy, Pat McAfee, it says he got killed. Like, oh my God, Pat McAfee's dead.
But what was your guys' thought on SmackDown from last Friday?
I give it an A. I thought it had. I think that was the first SmackDown in a while that had a lot of excitement. That had a lot of ramification, a lot of things that a lot of the story weaves were friggin' spinning of what's to come. And they did a good job. I give it an A.
Styx?
Listen.
I'm listening.
SmackDown
I got my shit turned all the way up.
Listen, baby, listen.
All right. Listen, baby. SmackDown is still too long. But this one was definitely better than it has been in the past. So I give it an A.
I give it a B minus. If they could get the show down to 2 hours with the wrestling they're putting on, it'd be A+ all day. But that third hour of SmackDown drags.
Yeah.
It drags.
They're supposed to be cutting it down anyway. Back to 2 hours.
Apparently not. Apparently they're not going to anymore. They are saying that SmackDown's 3 hours is here to stay for the foreseeable future. And it drags. They have so much talent. They could fill that third hour with great stories, but they don't. It drags. And then it picks up right at the end of the show, like it did with the Wyatt 6. Hopefully now the Wyatt 6 is here, we'll see more done with them. But I gave SmackDown a B minus. The professional wrestling is great. The first 2 hours are great. That third hour is a slog fest. It is a struggle to get through.
Yeah.
So and especially when Raw has been at 2.5 hours, it feels like it's over in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and SmackDown's last hour just slogs along. So, B minus for me, and it's only because that third hour, the wrestling is great, the work that's being done is great. It just it's like they don't have enough to fill a third hour. If they could drop it to 2 with what they're doing now, SmackDown would be just as good as Raw every week. But it's struggling.
Or even like you said, keep it the same. Even like you had said last week, I think, put it at the same amount of time as you're doing Raw. 2.5 hours.
Yep. 2.5 hours, I think, is that sweet spot. All right.
That seems to be working well.
Yes. I hand it over to you to talk to us about Saturday night's main event. Oh, this is a replay of SNS on Saturday.
No, this is my.
Oh, I know. Not the infamous SNS.
Ground control to Major Styx. What you looking for, Styx?
Nope, with those Styx.
Styx is gone. Styx had the chance. He had the spotlight, and he choked.
Yeah. He couldn't perform. Damn. Ed gets everybody.
Styx choked.
All
right.
I can't believe.
Oh, now he's trying to come back.
He was given the spotlight,
He was. And he choked.
choked.
Poor Styx, man. Come on, Styx. What are you doing?
1975 computer operated, man. Come on, man.
Yep. That you were just seeing his hamster die right there. His Windows 7 just crashed. Windows 97 crashed.
Anywho's, Kevin Nash says give Tony Khan some slack. He's autistic.
Artistic or autistic?
Autistic.
Hey, Styx, welcome back.
After
All right,
crack
sorry
that
about
insult. Okay, there we go. We're back.
Yeah.
Here we go.
My MS DOS crashed.
Styx, why are you sharing my slide and not your presentation?
Oh, sorry. I thought that was mine.
No, that's mine again, Styx. Damn it, Styx, stop it.
Sticks. It's gonna be a 4-hour show before we get started.
Oh my god, I know, Styx.
I didn't touch it. I'm not even. Wait, mine hasn't uploaded again yet.
There you go. All right, once again,
Let's try
Styx,
this again.
take it away with Saturday Night Main Event.
Saturday Night Event. All right. So as a reminder, points were 10.
Oh, damn it, Styx. What is going on?
Oh boy.
What happened now?
I don't know. Someone took me off the board.
You took yourself off the board.
I didn't touch it.
Damn it, Styx.
All right.
Third time's the charm, Styx. I believe in you.
This might be the 5th time. All right, 10 points per winner call, pinfall or otherwise, and 10 per any extra call. I will tell you there was a 5-point added bonus because of the added Vega match that a lot of people didn't get a chance to put in for. So I didn't hold that against anybody. Everyone got 5 points.
Yeah, but now someone that could have lost is now going to win because of that 5-point extra.
I know. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it plays out because let's go right here in the first match. Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker defeated CM Punk and Sami Zayn with the help of Bronson Reed. I did not see Bronson Reed coming back so soon.
Nope.
I don't think anybody did. I thought for sure he was laid up somewhere.
Dude,
and
after he friggin' speared CM Punk through the barrier, that was one. And then when he did the swan dive off the thing on the CM Punk, I was looking at his feet. The feet didn't hit. I'm like, to have surgery in both feet, surgery repaired both ankles. He's a big dude. To come back like that, they're, athletes are a different breed. Athletes, the technology they have today, you can come back sooner. But to have double surgery on both ankles, to come back that quick, I thought he was going to be back at least until November, at least Survivor Series, easy. Because he went out.
He was back in a year and a month.
In Elimination Chamber, right? It was an Elimination.
No, he
War
was
Games.
out since
War Games.
War Games last year.
November.
Last year.
Yeah. So wow, December, January, February, March, April, May, 6 months.
Oh, that was longer.
7 months maybe. He was out.
7 months.
But damn,
that's crazy.
But the heel. Look, I'm telling you, I've seen people who have ankle injury, broke their ankle. It takes them a while to get going. He was running full speed.
Hey,
hey,
he had to have not been as injured as they let on, or he heals like he's
Wolverine. He's a Wolverine freaking factor.
Wolverine, yeah. Yeah,
like I said, we didn't see that coming.
Factor of 10.
I said Ethan Page.
No, not at all.
Who'd you say, Styx?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and they changed it to Roman Reigns. I thought Roman Reigns was going to come out.
Matt said Roman Reigns. Yeah. No.
And you know what? All kidding, right? Exactly. The corporate TKO doctors, exactly. This match wasn't that
themselves.
Good. Yeah, exactly. This match wasn't that good.
No, it wasn't.
No, that was a little.
It was a little slow pace. It was a bunch of senior citizens in the ring. If you really think about it, with one young dude, but it was slow pace, and it just really was like very, very slow pace. I didn't the direction that it went. I just.
I feel like Punk spent a lot of time on his back.
Yeah.
Sammy did a lot of the heavy lifting in this match. I didn't see Bronson Reed coming back. I thought this match was all right. It was, I mean, with the sheer force of Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker in there with guys who can work like Punk and Zayn, I expected a lot more than what we got. But I would still say it was probably the better match of the night. Yeah. This and the Zelina Vega match were probably the two best matches of the night.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
All right. Up next. Speaking of Zelina Vega retaining against Chelsea Green in the women's U.S. title match, a match that was put on SmackDown
the night before. Yeah,
the night before.
All kidding aside, when she friggin' did the suicide bomb, what was the on the top rope, I had a cringe. I was like, "Oh God, this doesn't look good." When she landed, but the whole fact is that her nose was already busted open anyway when she got kicked in the nose. She got a horrified like Carrie, the blood coming out of her nose. But I think she broke her nose. She broke her nose. But
she absolutely did.
This was a good match. I actually liked this match. I thought this match was good.
I enjoyed this match. Yeah,
Chelsea Green. She's such a great. They both work good off each other. Freaking Zelina Vega doesn't get a lot of credit. She's a really good in ring performer when she gets a chance to fight. And
I think she's definitely gotten better over the years.
She got better over the years. But I think that Chelsea Green helps a lot too because of her experiences fighting Penta in Robert Rodriguez's arena, but
Lucha Underground.
Lucha Underground. Yeah. So,
I will say this about Chelsea Green. Up until recently, I didn't think she was really keying in to what they were doing. And then when they put the belt on, I thought she kind of pushed it up a bit and moved the bar up and was much better than I thought she was previous to having the belt.
She's funny. She's one of the funniest people. She's.
Well, that's what I mean. She at that point
good on the talkative side, and she's good in wrestling performer too, as well too. So that and they signed. I know they signed her again, but they got to keep her. She's definitely a good performer.
And I like her. I like her with Piper.
Yeah. That's going to implode. That group has to implode pretty soon, man.
That's going to implode, but I do like her and Piper together. I think they work together good. Anything else on this one?
Nope. Solid match.
Okay. All right, up to the next one here. Damian Priest defeats Drew McIntyre. Walked out of the cage in a steel cage match. To where we got Jesse the Body Ventura asking, who walks out of a cage match?
He also made a comment too. He goes, McIntyre is such a good-looking guy. He goes, he shouldn't be in this match. The way you say it. And it's true. It didn't. This match really it sucked.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see Damian Priest going over in this match, and then to hear that Drew McIntyre was working injured and he's got to take time off and he's going to take an extended leave, so that's why he lost to write him off. Makes sense. But
he's injured, right? What is he? He got injured. Something. He injured something like. He's gonna.
I'm not sure.
Did they say shoulder?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't remember what it is he injured, but they just said that he has injuries that he needs to take time off for.
Might be his back.
So I don't know. I agree. who just walks out of a steel cage, even though that's part of the stipulation is your feet hit
Right.
the ground. But I thought this match would have been a lot better given the two participants and the fact that they're in a cage. But if Drew was working hurt, it would make sense why it wasn't.
But you know what? What they could have did was have somebody come out, and start a new storyline. Like, Drew is on his way out, right? Damian Priest wins. All right, fine. But somebody comes out and interferes, and you can start that rivalry, because now who are you going to start a rivalry with now? Like, really, think about it. You got to start a brand new rivalry. It could have started here in the steel cage situation.
But that was my question last week: is where do either one of these guys go after this? Where does Damian Priest go after this? Where does Drew go after this?
Well,
apparently Drew's going on IR.
Damian Priest is going to team with Bad Bunny to fight Travis Scott and John Cena. That's
see, I don't think that's happening, because there's a report that Travis Scott was supposed to work at Money in the Bank, and after Cody Rhodes hit him with that crossroads, the stiff crossroads is kind of his payback for Elimination Chamber. Travis Scott says he doesn't know if he wants to get in the ring now. That's the report that's going around. That's why Travis Scott is not John Cena's partner
real.
at Money in the Bank, and it's John Cena and Logan Paul at Money in the Bank versus Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso.
Yep.
Okay, you know what? If that's the case, I don't. Like I said, McIntyre is such a good wrestler, a good performer on the mic, and a good performer in the ring. It sucks he's going to be out. Of course, hey, listen, injuries add up. Things happen. Take some time off. You come back stronger. Come back for War Games, because you know that he's going to be on somebody's team for War Games.
I don't think they're doing War Games this year. I think it's just going to be Survivor Series. I don't think they're doing a War Games.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I like the Survivor. I like the split thing. So, I like when NXT came in to have the three-way thing. You have TNA guys in there too, make it even more interesting. So,
Travis Scott's a beanpole, dude. Watching him wrestle would be like watching Styx versus Brock Lesnar.
Damn, Styx don't get credit, man. Come on, Styx.
It just wouldn't be.
Yo, Styx would last in the match 2.4 seconds against Brock Lesnar.
No, I don't. Are you? Oh, you're giving Styx some.
Hey, that's 1.4 seconds longer than Extra Speed.
Oh, Extra Speed, yeah. Styx would have to stick and move, but I think one suplex and Styx is done, though.
No,
maybe
Styx will land. You remember the movie The Gate where the thing fell and they all came to little demons? Styx' body would hit and fall to little sticks, dude.
Oh, but the little one.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you won't catch me in a ring.
You know what? Look,
another match.
Really,
go ahead.
Him walking out of the cage, that kind of walk out of the cage. Remember you had people who walked out of the cage. They did that.
Yeah, they stomped their way out.
And then where they were in, and it's like, all right, your dominance. But just to walk out regular like that, yeah.
Just to have a brisk stroll as you leave the cage.
Exactly. It's like when Vince McMahon fought Stone Cold in a steel cage. Shit like that. But
I can remember, and I'm sure you guys can too.
At least, go ahead, Stick. Sorry.
When they did steel cage matches, they would chain the door, or lock the door, and
you had to climb out.
You had to climb out. The only way was going over the top.
Yep.
Climbing down. First person to touch the floor won.
You could have at least had the finish of Drew.
Please, the storyline is dead, right? The storyline is no more, right?
I think it has to be.
It's got to be done.
They could have at least, if Drew's going off because he's hurt, they could have at least sold it where Damian throws him through the cage, or Drew throws Damian through the cage and Damian's feet hit the floor, so Damian wins. Something cool like that. Just having him stroll out of the
Well, that's what I was thinking. What you could have done is had Drew throw Damian through the door, and he wins.
Yeah, throw him through the door. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Claymore him through the door would have been sweet.
Yeah,
have him win.
And then he gets up, he wins because he's outside the cage.
Or Claymore him through the side of the cage.
And then Drew would have freaking
hole in the cage.
Yeah.
He said Double says walking out the door is heel behavior. Yeah, listen, yeah, if you're gonna strut yourself out and make it heel behavior, but not just to like gently stroll like you're walking to get the newspaper out the cage. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But I don't even think he was the heel going. I think Drew was the heel going into this match.
Yeah,
Drew was the heel. Drew was the heel.
So
unless they're saying it's a role reversal
he should
now.
say he's making a statement. He's just saying that walking out of with the door is heel behavior. Like you walk out like you're like I got this shit. Yeah, true.
Yeah. All he needed to do was like the dog thing where he kind of kicks the dirt back at him.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the next one here.
This was a waste.
it was.
Like you said, so much possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when, like I said, when I saw R-Truth come out to John Cena's music, dressed in John Cena's shirt, I was like, "Oh, this is something magical is going to happen here. Like this is going to be
Ron Cena."
Yeah, Ron Cena. When he came out, I thought something magical was going to happen here, and it was going to be a good match. And even in the minute where like he kind of talks Cena away from hitting him with the belt, then the ref turns back and Cena kicks him in the dick.
Well, I tell you this. Want to bet that R-Truth comes out and friggin' makes Cody Rhodes and friggin' Jey Uso win in Money in the Bank?
Maybe. I mean, I think if Cena loses Money in the Bank, it protects him because it's a tag team match, but it keeps it interesting if Cena loses. I mean, if it comes out and Cena just starts losing, but retaining the belt, like via count out or via technicality, I think that's more interesting. But I think we're on the road to Cena Cody too at the end of the year, whether that's at John Cena's, Ruthless Aggression pay-per-view or whatever My Time Is Now, whatever they're going to call it, or Survivor Series. I feel like that's where we're heading, but
yeah, well, SummerSlam, maybe. So,
not this one was not a
this sucked.
ending.
I just want to see Truth being truthful. See what I did there? I want to see Truth win the Intercontinental Championship or the United States Championship. I want to see him win a legitimate championship before his
just 24/7 I-95 championship,
365 I-95 24/7. Whatever. Yeah. But I'd love to see him as U.S. champion or Intercontinental champion before he's done.
Yeah,
I agree. All right, up next, a heavyweight championship match. Jey Uso defeated Logan Paul. John Cena interfered. Cody Rhodes took out Cena. Now Uso faces Gunther again.
When this happened, I didn't expect John Cena to come out. But when they had in the back talk when they were talking, then I'm like, yeah, this guy's gonna come out, man. And it kind of like no one expected John Cena to come out to friggin' to go after Jey Uso, but I don't know.
It was.
Yeah,
I did. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. All I said is I agree. Like I feel like it was a little soon for Cody Rhodes to come back. I figured it would have been at Money in the Bank, not Saturday Night Main Event. But
right. That's what set up their Money in the Bank match, I guess.
But everybody knew Logan Paul was losing this match, so they had to have Logan Paul win.
He had to.
They're high on Logan Paul and what he can do, and they're not going to have him lose straight up. If he's going to lose, he's going to lose with some shenanigans, and that's exactly what happened. I thought it was a little weird that John Cena is the one that came out. But I like Dom, once you saw that backstage segment, I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely getting involved one way or another.
And like you said, they had to have a replacement for that Travis Scott.
Yeah.
So. Might as well be.
And it's a way
Logan
to
Paul.
keep. It's a way to keep the title on Jey Uso. It's a way to keep Jey Uso from having to defend the title at Money in the Bank, so he can fight the next night on Raw against Gunther, only to start up probably Gunther and Goldberg's storyline.
Yep.
But from the way Goldberg's looking lately, I don't know when he's wrestling again.
I was just gonna say we keep talking that up, but I haven't really gotten any wind that he's even ready to wrestle.
Yeah, there was some fan did a video with him in a grocery store, and he looks like he's lost a lot of muscle mass. He doesn't look the same.
What? I didn't see that. You sure it wasn't Gilbert?
No, it was Goldberg, and they're talking about how he's had to have like surgeries and he's training, and I think he had to like.
They had a picture with him and his son. Like his son got a tattoo just like him.
Yeah.
The crown,
that crosshatch or whatever.
Yeah. It looks. The son looks like he's a jack too. His son's gonna be wrestling soon.
His son, I think, plays football for Colorado State.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Coach
does.
Prime. I think Gage is going to try to go to the NFL instead of pro wrestling, but
down the road, he'll probably wrestle. He'll fight later on, like Grunk. What happened to Grunk? Grunk was supposed to come into wrestling. Remember?
Yeah,
it never happened.
Well, but, I think it's probably good he didn't, because he probably couldn't get much out of after the COVID era stuff.
Yeah,
Grunk also doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the money.
He doesn't need the money. Gunther's not winning the belt. And if he does win the belt, got to slap in the face to Jay. That his journey. Gunther will. I think after this match, I think Gunther's going to be is going to become a face. I think he's going to wind up having fights with, I think, down the road with Seth and that group. I think they're going to go after him. I think you're going to see some of that afterward. I think after this match, I think he's out of the championship fight for a little bit. They're going to have him go off and do some things. You got to, like I said, bring new stars in. Like, yes, Gunther was a great champion, but now you need to look, and that's why Jay may not have the range and the mic and stuff like that. Give him a chance with the belt, win, and then you move forward with somebody else coming down the road. Keep building new stars, man. The same people, the same. Like, what happened to you have to go to the back of the line to fight the champion again? They did that. That you have to start over again. No, there's no rematch, and all of a sudden they just change that back to the regular thing again.
Yep.
But
I think
the one thing Gunther did do. I mean, you talk about him going to be a face, but he's already helping Old Man Uso hit his promos. So
yeah, I know, but I think like I said, I don't think he was a face, but I think that he's going to have problems with Seth and in the group because of what he told Seth.
I think he's going to be one of those. Or he's not good. He's not bad.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that the fight between him and Gunther, right? That they come out and they attack both of them, freaking Seth Rollins and
No, I think whoever you want my honest opinion.
Yeah,
Jey Uso's champion right now for whoever win Money in the Bank to cash in on him. I think Gunther's going to beat the shit out of him, and something's going to happen where whoever wins Money in the Bank the night before is going to cash in on Jey Uso to win the world title off of him after Money in the Bank. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's inevitable that whoever of the men wins Money in the Bank, Jey Uso is going to be their target, because they are not taking that belt off John Cena. So unless they're going to have this person wait until next year to cash in Money in the Bank,
no. It's going to be a fast Money in the Bank like the last one. I think the holding the Money in the Bank for a year, Austin Theory was the last one to have that freaking belt, the Money in the Bank for.
He never cashed it. He left it.
So I think that you're right. It could be. I think maybe,
and that's why I think Seth is winning Money in the Bank. 100%. That's why
I don't think Seth is going to win. I don't think Seth is going to win. I think that Roman Reigns comes back and interferes that. And he's going to come back sooner than you think. I think Jay keeps the belt until at least SummerSlam.
I hope so. I hope so, but I don't know. It's starting to feel like they want to take the belt off Jay, but they want to do it in a way that makes all the stuff with the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania make sense to appease the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to do that would be Money in the Bank.
How about this? All right, I know Money in the Bank, but that's too soon. How about this? How about the draft? What is the draft? The draft is happening after this.
They have not announced the draft.
They said after the well, anyway, if they do, say if Solo and Cobb come over and Jacob Fatu come over to Raw.
If they do a draft, it'll probably be right before Night of Champions.
Okay, but say if they do come to Raw and they attack Jey Uso, Solo and stuff like that. Say if Solo wins the Money in the Bank, because I know Jacob Fatu ain't winning it, and probably Solo ain't gonna win it either. But I'm just saying, do little scenarios on who could possibly win it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's the only good thing about Money in the Bank right now is I couldn't tell you who the front runner to win that briefcase is. Like, my gut tells me Seth Rollins just because of storyline and the fact that he was put in there. But I mean, I could see Penta winning it, but did anybody else in that match? Do you see them becoming world champion or
LA Knight
WWE champion?
LA Knight,
dude, I don't think LA Knight's ever gonna get.
I know, but it's say if LA Knight gets it and becomes a heel after he wins,
it'd be cool, but he would
have
have to go to Raw. He'd have to go to Raw, and he'd have to beat. He would have to go to Raw and beat Jey Uso to do it.
Yeah.
I think putting Sammy in the match and having Sammy win and having Sammy cash in on Jay makes it interesting.
Makes a lot of sense. Hey, and freaking Karrion Kross did tell Sammy, "You're never going to win."
Yeah.
So that might be the seed right there. Remember I was saying? No, remember I was saying the fact. Remember when Jay lost to Gunter, and then in the back you had Cody Rhodes tell him, "Don't worry, he'll be there one day." Gave him that prep talk. Remember I told you that planted the seed for Jay to win?
Yeah.
So you're right. Karrion Kross saying that he ain't going to win, he's never going to win, is planting the seed for Sammy to win. You're right. Sammy might win it because you got to give him the opportunity to get Money in the Bank, and he's gonna have the other thing, and you're not gonna know. And freaking Jay's gonna be like, "Yo, you're gonna cash on me." It's going to be cause that tension between both of them.
Well, I think he's going to use it as a listen. This is what Seth wants. We need to keep it away from Seth.
That's why Roman Reigns is coming out. Roman Reigns is coming out. Is going to freaking goddamn not let him win. That's what I'm trying to say. Solo and Jacob Fatu aren't going to win. You just make scenarios if they win, but they aren't going to win because they're going to win the battle with each other. Freaking LA Knight is not going to win, and who else is in it?
Penta.
And Penta not going to win. I think Chad Gable comes out as freaking goddamn Americano, El Grande Americano. And
they seem to be built, but they seem to be building a. No, I think you're going to see AJ Styles versus El Grande Americano at Money in the Bank. I think you're going to see Chad Gable wrestle twice that night. He's going to wrestle once as Chad Gable.
Yep.
And then he's going to wrestle and Money in the Bank as El Grande because AJ Styles punched him in the face on Raw and said, if that Mexican coffee ever gets in my business again, you know, so.
Yeah. Well, they planted the seed there.
Or he says if that coffee bean ever gets in my business again. But.
Yeah, you're right. He's definitely right. So we'll see. So, and there are big things for freaking goddamn Logan Paul in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
If LA Knight wins, I mean, I could see him going against Cena because I think he's going to have a match against Cena, but he's not going to win, the title off of him. I don't know. It's interesting because I don't really know who. I don't see a front runner other than Seth. Like Seth makes
Sami
sense.
Zayn. Sami Zayn's winning.
But Sami's not in it. He'd have to win. They'd have to hold like a last chance qualifier on Monday, and Sami win that to get put in the match, and then have Sami do it. Sami would be intriguing. Everybody wanted to see Sami turn on Jay. That's the way, you can keep you put the belt on Sami and have it, not hurt Jay, and just say like Sami's gonna say like, you could have it where it's Seth versus Jey Uso 2, and Jay's about to lose, and Sami cashes in on Seth, hits Seth with a haluva kick, pins him 1, 2, 3, to save the belt, and he could say, "Look, Jay, you were about to lose. You were done. Seth was going in for the kill. I did what I had to do to keep that championship away from Seth, away from this group. Sorry about it." And you could have Sami versus Jey Uso as a rematch at SummerSlam or later on down the line, but I just think if Sami makes it in there somehow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But right now with the field the way it is, it's Seth. Like, I don't know if it's just tunnel vision or what, but the way the story's going and the slow burn on this group, because let's see, this group debuted the night after WrestleMania and they still haven't really done anything. It just, and they keep talking about how they need that championship to be the next part, and that Seth needs to get Money in the Bank and yada yada yada, and he qualified. And that's just what I see is if they do a last chance qualifier, Sami gets in, and whatever the reason is, if it's Seth Jay 2, and Jay's about to lose the title to Seth, and Sami comes out, hits Seth with a haluva kick, cashes in, pins 1, 2, 3. He did what he had to do to keep the title away from Seth. That's a great story. That's how I would book it. But
what if you put like the losers that from those qualifying matches into like a battle royal?
Yep.
Well, that's usually what a last chance qualifier is. It's all the losers get one more.
Yeah. Oh, you did say that. I'm sorry.
Battle royal or whatever.
Listen, you know what? Maybe Sami wins Royal Rumble next year.
I think he will. I think he wins Royal Rumble in Saudi for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
But
let's go. All right.
All right. All right. So here's your totals for this week for Saturday night's main event. Matt ended up with 35 points. Pete had 45. Dub didn't give me any picks.
How did Pete get 45? Pete didn't pick anything that's good. We picked all the winners. So what the hell did Pete get to 45?
I only had 35 and you had 35 down.
That's bullshit, man. Why is Pete? How is Pete? Because that damn 5-point freaking total you gave him.
What did Pete have?
No, I think Pete picked. No, he picked McIntyre too.
Let's see. Pete had,
like the only thing I picked wrong was McIntyre going over Priest.
You know what I did?
You sticked it, didn't you? Sticked it. Fucking bastard.
Yeah, shit. That should have been. Well, I should. Okay. Damn it! I did screw that up because I gave him 10 points per. Instead of 5 points, I gave him 15 points for Vega.
They gave 15 points. See? Come on, man.
That's my fault. So he should have only had. Which he should have only had 35, like everybody else. So
Jesus.
There you go.
Damn it, Styx.
You see?
I had his added up before I decided on the 5 points.
You see how I noticed that? I'm like, how the hell?
Damn you, Styx.
Damn Styx.
Yep. Same thing for NXT. 10 points for pinfall or other. 10 points for any extra call, which there really wasn't any
like interference
extras given anyway. So first matchup, the NXT Women's Championship match. Stephanie Vaquer defeated Jordan Grace.
I think we all took Jordan Grace. Who took Stephanie? Anybody took Stephanie? Because
I thought Jordan Grace was.
I thought Jordan Grace was going to win too, and that's why we were talking about Stephanie coming to the main roster. But now they're saying that
everyone has Stephanie.
She's going to show up on Raw May 9th, freaking June 9th. which is a week away. It's a few days away before the freaking Money in the Bank. So she's gonna freaking goddamn qualify match on freaking June 9th. They say June 9th.
June 9th would be after Money in the Bank.
No,
Money in the Bank is
June 11th.
June 7th. It's not this Saturday, it's next Saturday.
Oh, no, so she might show up. And
So
then
she would have to show up on Raw on Monday.
Yeah, this Monday, yeah.
Or that she would show up the following week at the Raw on the 9th in Phoenix here.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, we all had Stephanie. I thought I was Jordan. I was for sure Stephanie was going to. Jordan was going to take the title so that she could come up to the main roster. I think that was kind of everyone's thought process going into this.
Yep.
Well, I guess we'll talk about.
Let me ask you something. What the heck was Jordan Grace wearing when she came into the friggin' arena?
I don't know.
What the heck was that fuzzy bra shit she was wearing?
I don't know, but I'm here for it.
Yeah, exactly.
I find her oddly attractive.
Yeah. It's just
like
that
I used to find China oddly attractive.
She's actually freaking. She's built. She's Sabrina Carpenter built. There you go.
She is. She's very short.
Yeah.
All right. That much.
Well,
it was a good match, but it didn't end up the way we wanted it.
Yeah.
All right.
Hell of a
NXT
match
Championship.
Miles Bourne, but
yes.
That dude's Randy Orton Jr.
Took over Femi.
I said Miles was gonna beat him because I'm almost certain Oba's gonna end up on the main roster sooner more than later. But we'll see. Maybe they'll have him lose again on a random NXT.
It made no sense how
like they seem to be doing lately. Like,
yep.
How you doing?
Yeah, Miles Bourne is Randy Orton light, man. He moves like Randy Orton. He does he's dressed like Randy Orton. He just looks like Randy Orton.
He's Randy Orton's son.
Yeah. As much as what's his name was Kurt Angle's son, right?
Yeah.
Shelton Benjamin?
No, what was his name?
Freaking, he's in the back now. He's in the back. He's one of the other guys in the back.
No, it was I can't remember his name. Gable, and it wasn't Gable Stevens.
Yeah, it was Gable's freaking tag mate.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't remember his name, but
Daddy.
All right. Up next,
we've talked about this match at nauseum.
Did not expect Trick Williams to win.
I didn't either.
Nope. The consensus last week was there was no way they're going to put the TNA Championship on anyone in WWE. And what do? They put the TNA
and especially
Championship
out of the development, at the middle of a freaking character that's in the development league, not even the main roster. So,
I stand by that. Nothing against Trick, but I just.
You know what? Let me tell you something. They might have big plans for Trick. Maybe, like I said, they're pushing Trick to be. And when he comes to the main roster, you can say I was a TNA champion.
He is not ready for the main roster.
That's what I think. That's part of why I think they did this too, because he's not main roster ready, but he's outgrown. He's got nothing left to do in NXT, so they're gonna put him up and see how he performs in TNA. As main roster as you can get, so it's like another step before the main roster. Before they're treating TNA like another developmental run.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess that would be it. Yeah.
We
don't have anything for him to do.
Give one of the main roster Raw guys or SmackDown guys the Knockout Championship.
You want one of the Raw or SmackDown guys to win a women's championship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck it.
We got Glorious Adrian Adonis back.
Actually, give it to one of the girls.
Yeah, to say, what are we gonna relive the Andy Kaufman era and just have someone randomly have a man win a women's title?
Yeah. Hey, China won the freaking men's Intercontinental Championship.
But that was her angle. That was her angle.
But she was the ninth wonder of the world,
I
man.
know,
Yeah, that was her angle. All right. We did talk about this at nauseum, so.
This was a good match. It was
Women's
a
North
good
American
match.
Championship match. Sol Ruca did defeat Kalani Jordan.
I think it highlighted that Kalani Jordan still needs a lot of work. She's still very green.
Mhm.
I love Sol Ruca's Soul Snatcher, though. I think it's an incredible finisher move.
Mhm.
I think Sol Ruca did a great job here. I think I'd like to see Sol Ruca hold the title for a while and build her up before picking up the NXT Women's Championship. But I think this match did more to really show where these two competitors are at. It shows where Sol Ruca's at and why she's a champion versus where Kalani Jordan's at. And I still feel like Kalani Jordan's still very green and still needs a lot of work.
Yep.
I do think she put on a hell of a show.
Absolutely.
By the end of the year, I can see Sol Ruca going for the NXT Championship.
Mhm.
By the end of the year.
I would say maybe WrestleMania season next year. But
That long? Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Well, listen, she can hold on to the Women's North American Championship up until at least the end of the summer, and then start preparing for the championship match. See what happens.
That's next.
Yeah.
That's in July. All right.
This was an interesting
Channing.
match.
Oh my God! I don't know what to think about this match. Channing Stacks Lorenzo defeated Tony D'Angelo.
Well, they kicked in the nads, man. Kicked in the nads.
It wasn't even an interference. It was just standing.
Yeah.
Standing there.
Well, it's like looking in a mirror because he came out there looking like Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You think he's ready for the main roster, Tony D'Angelo?
No. If they do, they're gonna repackage him because his gimmick. I don't think his gimmick works on the main roster.
No.
Yeah, that Mafia doesn't work up there. Yeah, unless you're gonna bring Brooke and Borala back.
No.
Yeah, it was a decent match, but I don't need to see a rematch between them. I don't need to see this again.
This is over. I think it's over. He'd probably go after him on like a regular show, and that's about it. I don't see it going any further.
I think Tony D'Angelo is probably going to be off TV for a while. They're probably going to repackage him, and he's going to come back.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
because he wasn't on NXT on Tuesday, was he?
Didn't see him.
Yeah, I think he had a video package.
I think video package. Yeah.
All right. Next. Hank and Tank with Josh Briggs defeated the Culling.
Yeah, I think we all saw this one coming.
Yeah.
They just beat Fraxium. They're not going to lose the tag team champions that quick, and
Nope.
they're going to make them. They're not going to have them look weak either. So,
Yep. I think we all had. I think there was
Sean
only one
Spears
person who
needs to
picked
shave that shit on his head out here, looking like Tommy Invincible.
the Culling. Pete picked the Culling to win.
I think he's the only one that picked the Culling to win.
He was the only one that picked the Culling to win. So,
Like I said, I feel like I got every single match in NXT wrong, other than Sol Ruca, and because I thought Tony D'Angelo was winning. I thought, well, in this one, I knew the Culling was going to win. I thought Tony D'Angelo was going to win. I thought Jordan Grace was going to win.
Exactly.
I thought Joe Hendry was going to win. So
I think I'm all wrong myself.
Yeah, I feel like I got every
Yeah,
almost every match wrong.
Yep.
I think what Dubs won.
Well, it's tough because when the option is that you believe is they're going to go up to the main roster, and this is a spot. This was the perfect spot for them to drop and push over into the next rung for them. But instead, they're like we've already said it. Now they're waiting for a random or the NXT after the PLE to drop the belt.
Well, something tells me that the call up of Jordan Grace was a last minute thing. Like that happened probably as the show was going on, because otherwise you would have had, I think the call up for Stephanie was always there. And the call up for Jordan Grace was last minute, because I think the plan was to have Jordan Grace beat her. And I think they switched the call last minute before that match and said, hey, we're calling you both up. You know, we're going to have Stephanie go over and she's going to drop the title Tuesday. And you're both coming up. Because if you would think that why not put the belt on Jordan Grace then right there and then? Why wait 2 days and have her lose to JC Jane on a random ass NXT show, which by the way was supposed to be in Tampa, and they canceled it because they couldn't sell enough tickets. So it was like, well, is it really that they got called up, or was it a big fuck you to like, look what we had planned for you if you would have just bought tickets? But nobody bought tickets, so
I find it hard to believe, but
that is hard to believe, because I would have bought 5. I would have bought 5 tickets over just to see them girls. Just to see.
And you would have got kicked out too, because you would have showed up with sweatpants on and with a massive erection, and they would have kicked you out.
Nope, I would have fucking had a tent.
If they had a chair in the ring for Dom, he would have bought that ticket.
Listen,
Dom would have tried to walk in.
Come over here. Okay, Stephanie.
Yeah.
Jada.
I'm the special
come
guest
over here. Hey, Jada Paul, come here. Come here. You want to hang out in my tent?
Okay.
Dom showed up with a ramp side ticket and a more baby oil than Diddy, and they wouldn't let him in.
Yeah. Oh, damn. I got 30 points. Me and Matt.
Where are my points? What happened to my points?
Styx got no
20
points.
I have 20, but
apparently Double O didn't even want to participate. Thanks for playing, Dub.
Oops, sorry. Oh, wow, wrong way. Yep. So Matt 30, Pete 20. I had 20, and Dom had 30.
At least you tried, Dub.
Me and Matt.
And then the totals, which I have to change Pete's. But so the last slide will be a little. It's going to be different.
And me and Matt. Again.
Matt had 65. Pete should have only had
45.
55 total. And then Dom had 5. I had 55. Dom had 65. So sorry, Pete, but I got to delete you from the last slide.
You don't get a title, Dom. Tag team champion.
There you go.
Yeah, triple tag team champions because you all tied. There you go.
Yeah.
But sorry, Pete, I got to delete you.
Yeah.
Champion again.
There you go.
There you go.
We are the champions, my friends.
So that would have been, you guys would have been tag team champions together.
There you go.
Tag team.
I like the Boba Fett thing. Thank you, Six.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I think that's it for me. Yeah, that's it for me.
I think Styx gets another 5-point deduction for his terrible math skills.
I agree.
You see how I caught that? I'm like, wait a minute. How did Pete get that much? Pete didn't do that. Come on, man.
That was my bad. Yeah, my math skills.
Yo, Pete might try to appeal. He might try to appeal the.
You're going to appeal the ruling.
Yeah.
The ref's decision is final.
Yep.
All right.
There you go.
So
What's up
let's
next?
get into.
We got Monday Raw.
Yeah. Let's get into Monday Night. A review of Monday Night Raw real quick. We'll run through Raw really quick here. We open the show with Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed. Heyman sells Breaker as a true badass in the bloodline of badasses. He spoils the fact that Breaker will main event WrestleManias to come. After chanting CM Punk, Paul lets us know that he isn't there this evening. All thanks to Bronson Reed. Heyman says WWE management and talent want nothing to do with Reed because he's too dangerous for the man in a PG era. He put a the worst beating on Seth Rollins in one of the nights of Roman Reigns has in his decade. So they're basically saying that he beat the hell out of Seth Rollins worse than Roman Reigns ever has. Get down on your hands and knees and thank the most generous man Heyman has met in his entire life. Acknowledge it. The future of the industry, Seth freaking Rollins. The crowd doesn't like that and chants for Roman Reigns. Eventually, Rollins tells him this is his vision. It is the way forward. This is how we secure the future of the industry through total control, domination, and power. The fans tell Rollins he's sold out, but he doesn't understand how he has. He hasn't changed. He did what he set out to do at WrestleMania. After that, the fans tell him to F you, Rollins. Rollins calls out the hypocrisy of them singing his song and then saying F you, Rollins. And they prove his point even more. As CM Punk, Rollins made him understand on Saturday what happens when he's underestimated. Sami Zayn will figure it out tonight. As he found out something will control the fate of the championship, Rollins will qualify for Money in the Bank, win the contract, and then cash in whenever he wants, when he wants, on whoever he wants. That is total power, and that is why he is Seth freaking Rollins.
I love how the fans turned on Rollins Monday night. Rollins, up to this point, freaking Roman Reigns was a heel the entire time. I love the fans how they changed their attitude towards somebody, cheering Seth Rollins day in and day out. Because
you
now
sit here and use profanity on me.
No, and look, and the whole thing with Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman did not he betrayed freaking Roman Reigns because Roman Reigns betrayed him. Left him to freaking goddamn burn with Solo Sikoa and the crazy ass bloodline. Disappeared. They put Paul Heyman through a table. I don't understand. That makes me laugh that they had every right to change on who they were. Like Kevin Owens was right about freaking goddamn, right about the entire thing. Cody Rhodes,
Cody
the same
Rhodes.
thing with McIntyre was right. These things, I love how fans get frickled when you're right and you're doing the thing because you're right. You get screwed time and time again, and you're trying to expose the truth. You're the bad guy. Now if they give both titles to Seth Rollins, which I don't think they'll ever do that again. I don't think anybody's gonna have two titles in a row anymore because I think Roman Reigns took that mantle, and that's it. You're not gonna see one person having both titles. But hold on a second.
I mean, I think he still could eventually.
So you could eventually if you want to cross it over. But I'm thinking that, eventually, the separation is going to happen again, and you're going to do your thing and have one show concentrating on one thing and the other show concentrating on another thing.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see how that stable goes. Like you still say there's one more person that's coming in the fold in this new team.
That's just a feeling I get. I feel like it's not done yet, that there's going to be one more person in this stable.
It should be. It should be. And you know what? It probably will be Ricky Starks Ricky Saints, because he's in the rumor mill to come up. You put him on the roster. That'd be kind of cool, to bring him in, brand new, fresh new face coming in, make a name for himself, and start that out. We'll see.
Yeah. I just think the crowd's having fun, but it kind of was very John Cena-esque when he's like, "You're using profanity." It's like, come on, dude. Like,
really?
You guys are out here cussing me out when you were just singing my song, the hypocrisy, but it's whatever. Like I said, this group's been coming out since WrestleMania. Been a slow play. We've wondered when are they going to add another member? When are they going to add another member? They added the third member at Sunday night, or God, I can't think. Saturday night main event. Cool. Now what? Yeah, it's been slow burn, but I'm interested to see where it goes. But some of these guys, they have to move Punk away from Seth. They have to let Punk evolve and go where he's going to go, because he's been toiling with Seth since he's come back. They got to move the storyline along to allow some of these guys to move along into different places. But all in all, I thought it was a pretty good promo. But like I said, it didn't feel like a Seth promo. Like, it felt like there was a lot missing. Like, there was mistakes. It felt like they were setting up for people to come out and interrupt multiple times. Like, there was like multiple phrase cues that, I thought at one point Roman was going to come out. I thought at one point Punk was going to, especially when, Heyman was like, CM Punk is not here tonight. I thought that you were going to hear Cult of Personality hit.
Yeah.
When Sami Zayn in the backstage was like, I should have went out there. I should have stopped them. I should have went out there. I was like, yeah, I thought you were going to. I expected it. But they didn't. And it's...
Well, you know what? Listen, as soon as he said CM Punk's out here, I'm like, yeah, he's coming out. But the whole fact is, like I said, the ending of Raw, I thought would be a masterpiece, but it didn't turn out the way I thought it would be, but it is what it is.
Then we had our Money Man qualifying match, Penta versus Chad Gable versus Dragon Lee, with Penta winning after interference from Vikingo, which was Chad Gable's fault to begin with.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Chad Gable should have never got involved with Vikingo at the side of the ringside. Liv Morgan walks into Dominic Mysterio as he's eating Roxanne Perez's nuggets while getting a shoulder rub. She will address this later, as she wants to get a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank, which she didn't get.
Hey, look, Liv's back, everybody.
Yeah. I like
Finn's actually watching Konnichiwa.
Finn is like laughing. That just Finn's expressions. That I'm telling you that, and okay, Carlito, the same thing with the one-liners, man. Like, I think it's funny, and I like that. You see things happening, and like, again, Dirty Dom is living the life, man. He is living the life. His storyline is crazy. Even though he don't figure defend his damn Intercontinental Championship as much as he should.
But, I mean, he won it and then defended it the following Monday after he won it.
And that was it. I think Finn is gonna fight him for it. I think Finn. Yeah, I think Finn takes it off of him. Yeah, I think that's gonna happen. I think that's the plan, the long-term plan for it to happen. I don't know. I don't think it might be Money in the Bank because of the thing, but it's boiling up very close. Could be SummerSlam.
Yeah, it could be potentially. I think it makes sense for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then we got Akira Tozawa with Maxime Dupree versus Rusev, with Rusev winning via submission. Rusev wouldn't let go of Tozawa until Sheamus ran down. They have a stare down, but Rusev wants none of Sheamus, so he exits the ring.
Backlash?
Well, Backlash has already happened.
I know. That Backlash are freaking Money in the Bank?
Potentially, but they would have to put that in the works
now
Monday night.
Yeah. Or you build it up for SummerSlam.
Maybe SummerSlam, especially
because
two nights.
They keep alluding. AJ Styles and Sheamus have not won the Intercontinental Championships.
Yep.
That's in there.
Don't forget we have another Saturday night.
Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to win the championship. And this is the last big storyline run for Sheamus and the big storyline for AJ Styles because they're leaving soon. Because they're 47. They're both 47. They're reaching that 50-year-old mark, man. They're not gonna be Rey Mysterio wrestling like that long.
No one's Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio might come back and might not even wrestle anymore. This might be it.
Well, he's going to be in AAA.
You know, he'll probably promote. He could probably be a manager, AAA. You know, but we'll see.
Then we got the World Tag Team Championship match: the New Day versus the War Raiders versus the Creed Brothers, which was a snore of a match, with the New Day retaining there. Then Liv Morgan throws some shade at Io Sky. Oh, go ahead, Styx.
Oh, I was just gonna say I did like the way they won the match, though. That's all I was gonna say. You're using the Creed Brothers and taking the Creed Brothers to the match.
Yeah, I knew that was happening. I knew that was going to happen.
Out there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan throws some shade at Io Sky and Kairi Sane. So the latter challenges her to a match tonight. Morgan accepts. Jey Uso recaps his week, but it quickly is interrupted by Gunther. He congratulates the Usos on their 15-year jubilee in WWE. Also, he congratulates Jey on his first title defense. Gunther appreciates he's doing his best and has his hands full. When his friends are in trouble, he is there for them without question. They are noble qualities for a human being, but not for a champion. Being a world champion does not come with naturally to him. Gunther was a world champion for a year because the only person that he cared about was himself. In 2 weeks, when he steps in the ring one more time, he will relieve Jey of his position and take the title and put it back where it belongs. Jey is done with the people saying his days as champion are numbered. He's fighting for his friends and family, much like they do for him. Gunther wants to judge him. What he's fighting for is less than what he is. And in Phoenix, he will make Gunther tap out again. And
one word. 4 letters.
Yeet.
And a big long pause.
What the hell was that big long pause that he sat there? He forgot his damn lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was looking at the crowd like, help me.
And then Gunther was trying to help him. Gunther standing there too. So
he was definitely helping him.
This week, the promos are so bad. You know,
it's been the last couple of weeks. It's been since WrestleMania. It's not just.
No, I know, but I think this week really fucking caught my attention really, really bad.
It's been since before WrestleMania. Like it all seems to start with the Tiffany, Charlotte Flair promo.
Oh yeah.
The "Why's your boyfriend in my DMs" promo.
Oh yeah.
Then we got Kairi Sane versus Liv Morgan, with Kairi Sane picking up the win after an accidental distraction by Roxanne Perez. During the break, Chad Gable tells Ivy Nile to get the Creed brothers in the best shape of their lives, or if they are lucky enough to get another shot after they leave. Vikingo appears to let Gable know he will see him at Worlds Collide. As he walks away, Gable is blindsided by AJ Styles. He tells Gable to never interfere in his match again, or he will put him through the concrete. Lyra Valkyria talks to the crowd. Here was another. I did not think this was a good promo either. She regrets telling us that Becky Lynch hot liquor her way into getting yet another title match at Money in the Bank. Lyra has beaten her twice, so she has nothing left to prove. Even though Becky lost those matches, she keeps on talking like she'd won them. This is why Lyra felt no satisfaction, and she made it personal by targeting her family. At Money in the Bank, she will beat and break Becky. Becky Lynch interrupts her after some insults are exchanged. She suggests a stipulation: if Becky loses at Money in the Bank, she will never challenge for the title again. But if she wins, Lyra has to raise her hand, and the champ has no issue with that. But Becky has to prove herself better and has not done so yet. And I think that's exactly why Becky's winning that match. At the minute that stipulation was put in place, I was like, oh, Becky's winning this match. And at our main event, we got our Money in the Bank qualifier: Seth Rollins versus Sami Zayn versus Finn Balor, with Seth Rollins picking up the win, as Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed got involved to stop Sami from winning. Dominic Mysterio appears to throw a steel chair in the ring for Finn Balor, but Rollins takes advantage of by a curb stomp to Balor's head. CM Punk's music plays, so Breaker and Reed headed to the entrance. However, Punk appears to be behind Rollins, delivering a GTS, and then ran away before Breaker and Reed could return. Punk celebrates his mini victory in the crowd as Raw goes off the air.
Yeah, they showed the promo at the end when Seth Rollins got up and he was pissed off. He got up and he walked out with Paul Heyman. He was pissed off about that. You know, I look. I'm with you, Matt. That Seth Rollins doesn't need a Paul Heyman. You know, Seth Rollins is a good talker. He can talk. You put Seth Rollins in with Paul Heyman, it should make freaking crazy magic. Because you have the Visionary and you have the Wise Man.
Revolutionary.
You know, and I don't know. Maybe we're taking it all wrong. The team is just being built. Maybe there are bigger, better things to come down the road. You know, we'll see. You know, I didn't expect Bronson Reed. Well, actually, you know what's funny? That there was a rumor that Bronson Reed might be joining the new group, and I brushed that off, thinking that I don't think that's gonna happen.
His name was brought up a couple times.
Yeah, a couple times, and we'll see.
I'm telling you, you're just gonna hear evolution is a mystery.
I could see Bronson Reed and freaking Ron Breakker winning the tag team championships. You know, down the road, I could see that they're all gonna have championship belts. It's a rehash of every other friggin' team that came along with it. But you know what? Like I said, hopefully it makes it fun. Paul Heyman is it's a good pitch man. He pumps it for everybody. And like I said, you say that Brock Lesnar is never gonna be by until this whole lawsuit thing is over, this and that. But I think Brock Lesnar shows up in. It may not be Money in the Bank, but more towards SummerSlam War Games. You know, just imagine
who is it, Dom? Who's showing up? Is it Brock Lesnar? Is it Roman Reigns? Who's showing up at Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank. I think it's Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns shows up at Money in the Bank to screw Seth Rollins on the belt. That I think that's going to happen. But if you really want something big to happen, I really think if there is War Games in November in Survivor Series, the pop you would get with Brock Lesnar coming out to help friggin' Roman Reigns against John Cena and friggin' Seth Rollins' team, because John Cena would be part of that as a heel. If they do that, I don't know. I think that would be the biggest pop to have him come out at the end. You know?
Cena doesn't need anybody. He's got himself. That's all he's got.
Yeah, but if it's War Games, you have John Cena part of Seth Rollins' alliance. He's bad.
He might tag up with him. Sure. Yeah. I don't think he'll be part of the crew. He'll be there.
Well, remember, The Rock started the whole group. I still think that The Rock's vision is what's happening with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins. I think that's all part of that whole thing.
I don't. I think that's donezo. I think The Rock's vision is going to be Drew McIntyre when he comes back. There's a reason Drew McIntyre is in all these Rock promos for his sportswear and stuff. I think the real true champion is going to be Drew McIntyre.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's why you're taking him off TV to take him away, so that way when he comes back to face Cena as The Rock's champion, it's going to be a shock to everyone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But thoughts, ratings on Raw?
I'm going to give it a B plus. I'll give it a B plus. You know, promo sucked. Yeah. And you know what? And I like the ending. I like the ending. It didn't turn out the way I really wanted it to turn out, but I thought the ending was solid. I thought that the whole Judgment Day segment, you know, with Liv coming back and freaking Dirty Dom and freaking Finn Balor just fucking smiling like a freaking leprechaun, and just the way he was just smiling back, enjoying the drama. So I'll give it a B plus. They got to really work on the promos, man. The promos, really weren't that great. But overall, it was a decent show.
Styx, what say you?
The promos really killed it, in my opinion. I was going to give it a B. I'm gonna end up with a C plus on it.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think I ever heard the
C+.
C from out of your mouth, man.
Yeah. I just thought that the everything that was going on non-wrestling was not good. It was not good. And Raw's been pretty solid. Well, not, it's been the solid brand of Raw and SmackDown. NXT has been the pinnacle up until recently. So,
Yeah,
like C+.
I'm gonna give Raw a B minus. Good show. The matches were good. The promo work was just awful.
Yep.
I like the end. I don't like the whole Judgment Day aspect of it with Liv and Roxanne Perez. The Konnichiwa bitches when she came back was just super cringe. I do like the angle what Finn Balor's trying to play here.
Yeah.
But the promo work just absolutely killed it. But, all right, that's it for Monday Night Raw. Now we talk the show where it was like a smorgasbord for Dom because everybody lost titles. NXT. We opened the show with Ricky Saints and Ethan Page brawling heavily to start the show. Eventually, Ethan Page won the North American Championship from Ricky Saints by pinfall. And that's what makes me think Ricky's coming up because he lost clean to Ethan Page by pinfall.
He did.
Fatal Influence was interviewed backstage, including Jasmine Knox, who has been missing for the past few shows. JC Jane and Fallon Henley traded some major digs at each other. Yokishi Inamaru told Josh Briggs that he came back to NXT to fight for him. Briggs is renewed in his quest to win the tag team titles, and Inamaru suggests they shoot for something even bigger. Mike Santana defeated Tavon Heights by pinfall. We got a vignette. The High Rise were hyped up. I think that's such a stupid name for that group.
Yeah.
High Rise.
Yeah. Chase, you were talking backstage, Andre Chase, and was admonishing Ura Connor and Kale Dixon over foolishly setting themselves up for a match against OTM. They decided to take the initiative to approach Ava, who was walking by, and get another match for next week. She booked them against Dark State, and when they pointed out that they would be 4-on-2, she said it's actually 3 of them against 3 of Connors, Dixon, and Andre Chase, which didn't sit well with Chase.
We are not a team.
Yeah. Womp, womp, womp. Tony D'Angelo met with Luca Crefisino. I butchered that name again, asking him to explain himself. Luca claimed that channeling Stax Lorenzo just left him in the desert, and he didn't reach out because he didn't want to put anyone at risk, and he didn't say or do anything at Battleground because he was intending to. Tony D told him to save it and said he doesn't know who to trust. At a promo, Trick Williams was interrupted by Mike Santana setting up a title match for next week after Santana Marella appears on a Titantron to make the announcement. I hope Santana wins that match. By God. Backstage, Stephanie Vaquer was told by Ava that Dales and Chick Tormenta will face her and a tag team partner at Worlds Collide. Lola Vice came over to say she'll team with her. Good on Lola Vice. Jada Parker defeated Tatum Paxley by pinfall after the match. Thea Hale went after Parker, who retreated. Jasper Troy defeated Dante Chen by pinfall. After the match, Obafemi popped up on the elevated stage to tell Troy that his 5 seconds of fame are over. Backstage, No Quarter Catch crew met up with Charlie Dempsey. Said Miles Bourne and Tavon Heights failed, so they need to refocus as a team. Bourne isn't ready to go backwards. Dempsey said he's the one who decides if Bourne leaves or not, so Bourne challenges him to a match like the good old days, and Dempsey agrees, but suggests it's a rounds match. Bourne says it's a deal, and if he wins, he's out. Got an in-ring promo where Ethan Page was interrupted by Javon Evans while trying to celebrate his North American Championship win. Evans told him that he's one of Page's challengers for Worlds Collide, introducing Laredo Kid, who was also in the match, to come out of the quick attack promo. It was well as Ray Phoenix, who did the same. It will be a fatal 4-way for the NXT North American Championship. I can't believe Ray Phoenix is going to fucking fight for the North American Championship. Backstage, Ava Robert Stone and Stevie Turner talked about why Super Sean Lacey isn't in the match, as Ava wanted to have someone from WWE, NXT, and AAA in a match. Legacy gets a match after that. They then plugged tomorrow night's WWE Evolve Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way Elimination match for the crown. The inaugural champion, Sol Ruka and Zaraya, approached Tatum Paxley last week to offer her a friendly ear to talk if she wants to. Overlooking this scene was the culling in the background. And we got a NXT Women's Championship match. JC Jane defeated Stephanie Vakira by pinfall.
That was a big shock. I did not see that coming on a regular show. Like I said, in Battleground, we thought that Jordan Grace was going to take it. In the main pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. That's surprising. And like I said, even the whole thing with Ethan Page winning too, that was a shock too of that happening. So it's surprises. See, I like surprises like that. Being shocked that you didn't expect it. That's what I like. I want more of that. Instead of the build-up of something like coming up to a pay-per-view and you're going to win, like when Becky lost, the last time she fought, and it was unexpected because we all thought that Becky was going to win, and now she's going to win now this third time around because we knew that was happening.
Becky doesn't.
Third time of charm, but yeah, I thought that this was a very wild moment, NXT.
Yeah, I definitely did not see Bakir losing to Paxley at all. I didn't see Ricky Saints losing his title already either after just getting it. But that's what makes me think he's getting called up.
You see, it sucks because now Ethan Page is the champion. Now they're fucking going to be staying in NXT. Bastard. Hate it.
Yeah. That's all right because you got better call-ups coming, my man.
Yeah, I know.
You got Stephanie Vakir every Monday night. You can sit there with a tent pitched. Then you can sit there Tuesday night with a tent pitched. And you see Jada Parker. It's gonna make you're gonna have some blood flow issues, I think.
I like that, man. No Ed issues here.
All right, what was your guys' rating and final thoughts on NXT?
Yeah, I'll give you NXT. I'll give it an A, a solid A. Because I would give it more. I'm just disappointed that Stephanie Vakir lost. That's why I gave it an A. I thought it was good. Got shock moments, like I said. Ethan Page winning and Stephanie losing. Kind of it was like the wow moment. So I'll give it an A for a good show overall.
Mm-hmm. I'm also giving it an A, despite my feelings on that Jordan Grace should have taken the championship at Battleground. But that, not my call. My want, not my call. And then, So that's it.
It's a solid A for me as well. Based on the shocking championship changes alone, really did it for me. Otherwise, I don't know. I feel like NXT has been lacking a little bit the last couple of weeks, but this was a good show. And just the title chance were as what everyone's talking about. And it was super shocking. Yeah. And I think, like, honestly, I think Dom posted the thing in our group chat about Stephanie and Jordan getting called up before NXT even happened. Yep. And I was like, there's no way that's happening. And then when by the end of NXT, I was like, shit, it's happening. That's crazy. Because I've never heard of that dude before, that scooper before. And just the fact that I was like, damn, I was like, well, why wouldn't you have, I could see, I thought for sure Stephanie's going to come up. So I was like, why wouldn't you have Stephanie drop the belt to Jordan? Oh, well, it makes sense if they're both getting called up. So it was shocking.
To give the belt to somebody you least expect on your bingo card, so you bring up, like I said, that the shows are about to get a nice new flavor, new juices flowing into the shows. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
Let's talk about flavors and juices.
I could have sworn at some point that Jordan Grace had been given a 6-month stint in NXT, but apparently it doesn't matter.
I think
call them up whenever they want.
I think with the layoffs and the injury to Zoe Stark and potentially other things that they just called her up.
It right there. The injury to Zoe Stark could.
I think Chelsea Green is out now too. I think Chelsea Green is going to be out for a minute because she broke her nose. She's going to be out for a little bit, maybe a month or so. Because how many more fights she's going to have for the belt? I think now she'll probably get off, be off TV for a little bit. She'll bring in some new players to play in the playground.
And you bring in Jordan Grace, who's a powerhouse who can stand tall against Charlotte Flair, stand tall against Jade Cargill.
Exactly.
Can play in the mid card if they want to.
see Jordan Grace against Ivy Nile.
I don't like Ivy Nile.
They're two like pit bulls.
But
yeah, I like
all right.
I think she's a cute little package.
Well, we've gone over 3.5 hours. We have no spotlight this week. No time tunnel. Styx, do you have a time tunnel?
No time tunnel.
No time tunnel. But make sure to check us out next week as we have our Money in the Bank 2025 match card prediction shows. I think Pete said he's going to try and be here. So hopefully we can get Pete and maybe Double O on this bad boy next week. We're going to talk about Money in the Bank. I don't know if we're going to do a watch party for Money in the Bank yet, because I actually will be at a con that day.
What day is this?
This is Saturday the 7th.
What day is it? What kind is it, Matt?
What's that?
What kind is it?
It's Phoenix Fan Fusion here.
Anything?
That's your usual one.
We'll talk after the show.
All right. So, yeah, but join us next week as we do our Money in the Bank 2025 prediction show. This is going to be a hard one for me because I still don't know who I feel like could win either men's or women's Money in the Bank match. Or really even the tag team match between Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus John Cena and Logan Paul. That one's even a tough one.
No, that's not so funny. I can, like I said, I can see R-Truth coming out, interfering in that, helping thing. And, another two. Now, let me ask you a question now. It tells you that Jay is going to keep the belt. Because
the belt's not
he's going to fight Gunther on Monday.
You're right.
Do you see Seth Rollins' group come out and go after because he did jump out and help Sami Zayn, and the fight Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. So you see them coming out and interfering in that match. and that's how Cody gets involved, and
Possibility.
you know, like this is what I would love to see. A predicament like that happening, that they come out and they attack Jey Uso, they attack Cody, right? And then John Cena gets freaking snuffed by, gets tsunamied by freaking goddamn Bronson Reed. You know, have something like that, and freaking Logan Paul runs away like a little bitch.
What was I so close at, Dubba? What was I so close about? Ending it? I don't know what you mean.
Oh yeah, ending is so close. Yeah, I bet ending the show. Yeah, damn, Dubs, come on, man. I wasn't here last week. We're gonna have a great show. Anyway, go ahead, man.
But yeah, make sure to check us out next Thursday, 9 p.m. for our Money in the Bank prediction show. The prediction shows are always fun. You know, doing the matches, playing the points game. See who will come out as champion between me or Dom, because we can't have this tag team championships forever.
I know.
But that's it for us this week. Make sure to check out more from Dom and Styx. You can find them over on Renovision, our partner, site, Facebook, or YouTube page, whatever you want to call it. There's lots of great content there. You can catch Dom there every Friday and Sunday night for the Qualified and Star Wars. You can check out Styx every Tuesday night for his Doctor Who Rewind show, as well as on Saturdays with me right here on Renovision for Saturday night special. And of course, you can catch all three of us right back here next Thursday night for more Off the Mat professional wrestling goodness, where we're going to talk Money in the Bank 2025. If you liked the programming and all the information and wrestling talk you got here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Turn that notification bell on so you know whenever we are going to drop some beautiful wrestling content. If you want more content from us, you can check out one of the links here at the end of the video after our goofy faces are gone for the night. And on that note, Dom, take us out with some words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. Money in the Bank. Money in the Bank is always a fun time. It's unpredictable. At the same time, it's predictable. But it's fun. And it should be entertaining this year. Many times around, because we really don't know what's going to happen, but we do know what's going to happen. And that's all I'm going to say. Have a good night, everybody.
On that note, I instantly regret Dom giving us words of wisdom. But we will see you guys next week for our Money in the Bank match card prediction shows. Have a good night, everyone.
In the ring, the lights go down. Roaring crowd, they scream and shout. Chants echo, shaking the ground. Warriors clash, the game is found.